What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. Um, you're gonna see me do a lot more live streams. While I let people get in this room, you're gonna see me doing a lot more live streams because I got like half the week off, so been able to. You're gonna see me doing a lot more live streams. Maneuver my schedule to be able to do that, so that's gonna be fun. So I'm finally gonna really get to building this up as much as I should. And there's going to be some other things that's going to be coming. Like I said, we got the Facebook group coming too that I need to actually really jump on and just get back on track. So what is this going to be? It's just, some random thoughts that I got and stuff like that. Let people come in the chat room. This will be for maybe like an hour, maybe 2 hours. Let's see. So as you all can see in the title, what's up, Jesse? As you all can see the title, we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about like what ADOS is for me, the economic side of it. I want to take the reparations part out of it because I have a bad habit of this. So I'm not going to act like I'm above this, but too many times people got ADD, and I'm talking about Americans in general, or we get sidetracked on bullshit rather than actually not staying focused on what needs to be focused on. Yeah, what's up, Jesse, Captain Cisco, Devin. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of these. Yeah, what's up, Black Outcast Media Broadcast, and like I said, if y'all want to jump in, email is in the description, so email me at that. And I'll see about bringing you on, but I'm not gonna make this. Last time it was 5 hours. This is not gonna be that because I got other things to do. And don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat or make comments in the chat. We'll definitely be talking about this because this is just me us having a conversation. So anyway, let's talk about the economic side of ADO. So I said this before and I'm gonna say it again, and I'll start segmenting some of the things people that got on my hangout and some of the good points they made as well. So with the economic side of ADO, there's two sides in my opinion, ADO. So for those of you who don't know, ADOs came up mainly with Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell. And I give them credit for it. They came up with the hashtag. But, this ain't copyright or anything like that. It's a hashtag, right? Just like how Tea Party doesn't mean necessarily one thing. And what I'm bringing into that is one of the biggest differences that I have with Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell is they have this issue with economics. They believe economics is a pipe dream. If you all were on any of the hangouts, with O'Shea and stuff, just like people talk about reparations, they believe economics is a pipe dream, and they be like, economics is this like magical carrot that's being thrown around in order to, I guess, get people to not vote, which I don't understand why they think that. To me, that's asinine, but they think it. I don't know if it's because they're really I don't know, but I know they believe that, and this is why every time they got a problem with anybody that wants to have an economic first message up to and including Dr. Clark Anderson, which is crazy because you need both. But with that being said, Yvette Carnell and Tone are on what I call the political side of it. And this is why you see them talk about reparations, because even though it is true that a lot of the white wealth that white people have is predicated on things that they've been given, all white people have not kept that wealth. And the problem is they take that and say, well, capitalism really isn't real. What it is just people moving money around. This is what they always allude to. So I don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, if anybody were to tell me that it's a high likelihood that you voting for president is going to get you reparations in this election cycle, I would say you're pipe dreaming. Reparations is something that is a long-term strategy. That might be an intergenerational strategy. And people don't think about that. Too many Black people think of politics as you don't get what you want in that election cycle and there's no other value. To give you an example, I'm an internet marketer by trade. Jessica can appreciate this. I know Sigma gets in and he can appreciate this. Well, Sigma does a little bit different type of digital marketing, but if you sit there, let's say I spend $1,000 for, let's say, 500 leads. let's say 250 leads. So I've spent 250, I've spent basically $4 per lead. Now I've got a name, email, and phone number. Let's say that. Let's say because I did that with Craigslist. And then let's say I only made $500. Okay, some people say you lost money. That's what somebody that doesn't understand business would say. I would say I recovered half of what my initial investment was. Why do I say that? Let me give you an example all y'all can understand. When you go to McDonald's or you go to any fast food restaurant, what do they always ask? Do you want fries with that? Or do you want to supersize it? That's what they always ask, right? Do you want to supersize it? Or they may ask you for a certain thing that they're pushing, but they'll ask you to supersize. Why? Because if you supersize something, then you're already there, right? So if you supersize something, that's extra money on top of what you would otherwise spend. That's called life cycle. That's called value of that particular customer. That also goes, if I got 500 leads and I recover half my money, then out of all of those people that didn't buy initially, still have an opportunity for them to buy a first time. Or the people that did buy from me are much more likelier to buy from me again, which is less advertising. This is why it costs less if you advertise on Facebook to advertise to people that's already a fan or if you YouTube that's already seen your video, and it does like just people that don't know you. So even if you look at that over the course of like 90 days, which is actually not a long time, that's still one business cycle, that's one quarter. You can still on the next offers by sending them emails and stuff, still be able to make that money back. Most of the time, most businesses, they're going to tell you, you need to wait. Like, even if you buy McDonald's, which nobody believes a McDonald's is a scam, you still are going to have to wait like 3 years to make that profitable. Even if you buy like a Subway, it's like $3.65. It still takes like around a year and a half, if not 2 years, for that to become profitable. Hell, YouTube, Uber has not been profitable yet. I believe, is it Uber? I forget what it was, but like YouTube, like a lot of these companies are not operating in profit. And the reason why I'm talking like this is because I want y'all to understand that if you say, okay, I didn't get what I wanted from a political section, a lot of Black people want to quit and give up because they don't understand politics. The gay rights movement, when people voted against in California, that was a setback. They didn't quit. Any movement that you see, they did not quit, even the civil rights movement. So this thing about, well, I'm a vote and then voting don't work, bullshit that I hear with no context, all that is emotionalism. And this has nothing to do with Yvette and Tone, by the way, but I'm just saying. So when you understand reparations, that's going to take a lot of different, I'm not saying it's going to take cycles. And so if I were to ask you real quick, okay, Alan, if I accept that, what is the value of going for reparations? So let's say we don't get that. What is the value? Well, what I would ask, okay, I see you, Mark Black. Give me a second. What I would ask is, I would tell you is this. Number one, if they say, well, we can't give you reparations, but I'm gonna give you this instead. Number one, none of that counts as reparations because this is this instead. So you're getting tangibles. The goal is to get tangibles. We are not getting tangibles. We are voting for people and not getting tangibles. And every group is getting tangibles. If I ask you, what does the gay rights movement want? You probably can tell me about 3 or 5 things that you know they want. If you, because technically when they pass laws to make it illegal to fire them just based on their sexual preference, that is a tangible, because that makes it so more people can get hired. And it's harder to fire them for that, because not only can you not fire them for their sexual preference, now you can't fire them for a damn thing, because then they want to always go back to sexual preference is why they got fired. People don't realize that. Or if you're looking for immigration, what is the tangible? to have open borders, or really to give people amnesty. Why? Because you're pretty much giving citizenship, which is going to get them more numbers, which allow them to vote more and basically redirect the society. That's a tangible. But when we talk about what are tangibles that African Americans can have, nobody even wants to begin to have that conversation. This is not about, oh, they say, okay, we can do this, but we can't do this, and this is why. They want to talk about broad shit. Criminal justice reform. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know what that means. That's like me saying, well, math. What are you talking about? Accounting, geometry, arithmetic, trigonometry? I said geometry. Like Tom said, what are you talking? Math. You know, it's called benign neglect. And that's pretty much the thing that Black people need to eliminate. Like I said before, the Republicans are responsible for the Southern strategy as articulated by Richard Nixon, and the Democrats are responsible for benign neglect, which I think was instituted in like the 70s. That's what that is. And I can make an argument that benign neglect is actually more damaging than the Southern strategy, because you can't really see the benign neglect. You just got to know it's there, versus you can see Republicans constantly making up stuff in order for us not to vote. So going back to as far as, you know, if the reparations piece, we need to be voting in a block multiple cycles, and then over time we will basically pull more things in our direction. The Tea Party did not get what they wanted everything at first. They had Obama in there, and they had to deal with that. But they eventually almost completely overturned the Republican Party, and they did that in 8 years. And that's how we have to think. Politics is a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. Now, yeah, there's things that you can get done within those long terms. There's a lot of stuff we can get done. And I'll probably in another video talk about some examples. To give you a perfect example is, you know, they got all these sanctuary cities that are manipulating local laws for you know, people that are not even here legally. But we should have sanctuary cities in the United States of America as far as Black people, where there's like mostly Black cops or mainly Black cops. Like we should have, or whatever. I don't know. But these are things we never think about because people are too busy trying to have shut down arguments to shut down a conversation. I just wanted to speak on that part before I jump in on what I really wanted to talk about. Mark Black, put in the chat what do you want to speak on, because I kind of want to know before I give you this link. Because like I said, I got some stuff I'm trying to really say. I ain't trying to make this thing forever. See what y'all got in here. Now, the real part I want to talk about is so Trick said we have to go to work on a local level, create a culture of Black people demanding tangible council and county supervisors. You're absolutely right. Black people focus on the national and don't focus enough on the local level. And what's really affecting most Black people really is what's going on the local level. It's because we're not grouped up in any real way on the local level. You look at why LA is getting pushed out, they're not grouped up on the local level. Most of them Negroes are too focused on the national. And these are things that we just have to be honest about. There's certain there's different lenses for that. Yeah, like I said, Mark, put in the chat what you want to talk about. But that's a whole nother coin. So to go back to the economic coin, I'm part of what I call, I don't even know, I haven't listened to Tone Talks now, so I don't listen to Tone Talks. So I don't know if they have an economic side, but I know what they're on for the most part, and they typically don't talk economics except from the perspective of reparations. This is why, you know, Anthony Brian Logan and a lot of naysayers kept talking about that. This is why I did not want ADOS. That's a reparations conversation is a different conversation than economic empowerment through group economics. That is a different conversation. And the problem is people will loop those conversations together in order to focus it more on reparations as a way to try to infect the group economics conversation. And that's bullshit. That is that running interference bullshit. The reality is, even if I give you that reparations will never happen, that has no bearing on you practicing group economics at all. At all. So that is a completely separate conversation, and it has nothing to do with the other. But people want to say, well, where's the plan? Where's this? Okay, let me explain a couple of things really quick. I'm gonna give you the link, Mark Black, and I'll let you say what you got to say. That way it's not constantly hanging. All right, I sent you the email, Mark. Yeah, you got the email. So yeah, let me see. Yeah, you should have got the email. I don't know if I sent that to myself or what, but you got the email. Announce yourself when you get on. But anyway, okay, so talk about the economic side. Every Black person should know what the 5 floors are. The 5 floors is articulated by Dr. Claude Anderson of Powernomics. Everybody should have Powernomics books. Everybody should have, which is, I believe, to get all his books are like $99. Black Labor, White Wealth, all that stuff. They should definitely know who and what the Harvest Institute is. That's the Harvest Institute, I believe, is .org, and really should be donating at least $1 or a couple of dollars to it, as he does real work. They should know who Dr. Claude Anderson is and know people that typically try to push his messages. And anyway, we got Mark on here. So before I move on, what's up, man?
Peace, brother Ed, man. Peace to you. By the way, man, shout out to you. I watched that. I got hip to you and actually subscribed to you after that broadcast on O'Shea's channel, bro. I thought you were measured, well spoken, and a damn fine advocate. So just mad love to you, bro.
All right, I appreciate that. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy trying to bring common sense to an uncommon sense world, I guess.
Most deaf, right? Because it's surely lacking. But like I said, man, I'm not gonna take up too much of your time, brother. I want to say to you that I definitely agree with you. I think that if we allow this thing to solely become about reparations, it becomes another instance of people thinking that niggas can't chew gum and walk at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a push along the lines of both Black economics, Black education, changes in the legal system, as well as a long-term goal of making us whole through remediation and reparation. I too am a follower and longtime advocate of Dr. Claude's entire program, and I like the whole elevator strategy, the vertical integration, in which he talks about, is built strongly off of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and other things like that. It just makes sense, right? But I think that a part of this comes from the fact too that because Antonio and Yvette primarily talk about politics, that you're right. You were right in that a lot of people don't know that they also include an economic element to it. Tonio has done a report about with Dr. Darity, Dark Hamilton, and a few others about closing the racial wealth gap, and discuss some of the myths that we have around closing the racial wealth gap. As it currently stands, it's not that Black capitalism can't serve us in any good stead. It's just that it is not enough by itself. So I think what ends up happening is that when you have people who are proponents of the political piece, they tend to discount the economic piece. And the people who are proponents of the economic piece tend to discount the political piece, when we actually need both. Even if we were to get reparations tomorrow, we would have to have some economic infrastructure, economic game plan in place in order to husband that newly gathered wealth and to be able to accumulate it and watch it grow. You see what I'm saying? So both are needed, but we end up getting shunted off in the side tracks, right? Where we tend to side one with the other one. Am I making sense, brother?
Yeah, you're making sense, and that's a measured approach. But let's be clear. Let's be clear. Because I first found Tone through Freeway Cracking the System, and that
Right.
was done through Al Jazeera. So I've known of Tone, and I saw Tone do the interview with Byron Allen. So it wasn't. So I kind of made assumptions about him, and I used to listen to Zoe Williams a lot. He was on there. So it was once I started to hear him talk. He tends to do that, but a lot when you listen to anybody. Dr. Claude Anderson, you got economics, then you got politics. That's the second one right after, because in this country, your economics is what powers your politics. This is what Tone doesn't want to really acknowledge. He wants to act like you can just vote. Hold on, let me say this.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
And when you hear people like Boyce Watkins, or I understand they have an issue, but I'm just giving these people as an example. Boyce Watkins, Jason Black, Professor Black Truth, anybody that really because they did come from a couple other people, not just Dr. Clyde Anderson, but one in there, Tariq Nasheed. They never with Jason Black is probably the most vocal about going against economics, but what he's saying is the problem is Black people have been trained to only focus on voting, and they don't have a clue on the economic part of it. So the way I frame it from a political standpoint is this: it's not enough to just be a voter base. You have to be a donor base. And the reality is part of the reason why benign neglect works or can work is because we don't ever look at the donor base part. So for instance, if you look at a politician like Alexia Cortez, I actually think tactically, I would love to see Black politicians take on her tactics, where they know they're not going to be in there, but they're going to basically call everybody out and reorganize the system. But the problem is, because we're not bringing money to the table, we cannot fund these politicians. So what happens is there's one sandbox that pretty much white people control, and they're able to control who we see and don't see. And that is on us. And you don't need a whole hell of a lot of economic reparations in order to economically participate. Because when you look at groups like Asians, Indians, and other groups, they can get a lot more out of smaller numbers. Because another thing too, people are talking about that on a national scale. If you talk about money at a local level, you can't make that like the excuse. What Tone is saying, you can't make that excuse in Atlanta. You can't make that excuse in Philly. And I know I got Sub-Zero in here, so he can speak for Atlanta. The areas where we have the numbers, you can't make that same excuses. You might be able to say that on a national level, but you damn sure can't say that on an economic level. So, and see, these are things, and again, this whole conversation was really about angles, narratives, how people always want to talk about one angle. See, what you did when you talked about the whole thing, most people don't want to have that conversation. Then they'll start turning it into a debate. So I'll let you say the rest of what you got to say, then I'm going to let Sub-Zero talk.
All right, I appreciate that, brother. And yeah, thank you for that. Brother Ed, I'm just going to simply say we find ourselves more in agreement than any. Matter of fact, I can't see a place where we disagree. I will say that at the end of the day, I think that part of our awakening across the board, right, not just politically, but economically and every other sphere, will be the advent of what I like to call the long game, right? Black people have been stuck in survival mode for so long that we have not, we kind of been this youthful live for today as people, and that hasn't served us in good stead.
Yeah, that's underclass mentality.
Yeah, we have to start thinking in terms of legacy. I fight, brother, and you fight. I'm comfortable speaking for you. I know you fight, and I fight, not necessarily because we're going to get the fruit. There's an old saying that wise ones plant trees under shade they'll never sit, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I may not be the beneficiary of what is to come, but I have children, and many of us have children, and I think that I fight primarily to make a place for them. You see what I'm saying? So with that, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
No, I appreciate that. And one thing I will say, before you jump off is this. If Yvette Carnell and Tone stick to these things, they'll pretty much get universal support. If they stick to, number one, the calling out the immigrant situation. I'm not even talking about necessarily non-Black American immigrants, non-American Black immigrants. I'm talking about like really the Latinos, like Gina Rodriguez and stuff like that. They stick to that. because that's obvious. They stick to calling out what the Democratic Party is not doing, aka the bourgeoisie. Even Yvette Carnell, I've heard speak to a lot of black feminists and stuff like that. If they stick to like those elements, because they really don't even need to discount economics, because there's not enough black people on economics anyway, and focus on political strategy, they would actually be fine. It's when they sit there and go out of their way to throw somebody out like a Jay Morrison, and it's like, okay, you want to side with DJ Vlad, who's a not even American white person, a Russian white person, and he would never throw another white person under the bus like that and then use you to do that. That's the type of stuff that Tony needs to kind of stop doing.
I think that we all need to make sure that we remain open to feedback, to critique, right? None of us are sacred cows. None of us are above, reproach, above being able to have really detailed discussion. I think that black people need to understand that we not dumb niggas, that we can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I think that we need to continue to bang on the drums that build bridges and allies across the board. Like you said, this whole immigration thing, this is an American thing. This ain't got shit to do with just ADOS. You know what I'm saying? This is an issue that affects many Americans. H-1B abuse, sanctuary cities, shit like that, right? I think you're absolutely spot on. And I think that us paneling these types of discussions only can be beneficial, because as we have these pieces, as we have these conversations, we start to gel a long-term game plan that allows us to unify around the ties that bind, and give it. The game plan will come out in the discussions. That's the beautiful part about it. Don't nobody have to come up with no we don't need this overarching, big fucking 50-page plan. In these discussions, the plan develops itself.
Well, that's why I want to, absolutely. And that's why I'm going to have this hangout, because this hangout is really talking about people to kind of get away of that game plan. I just wanted to set the table, but I appreciate it, man. Definitely don't hesitate to try to jump back on, okay?
Oh, I appreciate that, brother. And again, man, keep up the good work, man. We see you, and your work is definitely appreciated. And shout out to Brother Sub-Zero. Y'all go ahead and get it in. I'm gonna fall back in peace and prosperity to y'all, man.
All right, man. Same to you, man.
Stay black, brother.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's up, Sub-Zero?
Ain't that, man? Do I got an echo?
No, not really. No, you don't got echo. I see some background, but it might be you driving, but it's fine.
No, I had the damn air blowing. One of the things, man, that I made a video way back in the day about Tone when he came after Jay-Z. If you're familiar with the song "The Story of OJ," when that song came out, Tone literally made a video not disparaging, but just going after Jay-Z for even making a song telling black people to invest their money. I'm dead serious. So I can show you the video. And I was highly pissed because I didn't know who Tone was. I didn't. And when he did that, and I mean the thing with him, and look, I love the ADOS thing. I really don't technically want to say the ADOS, they specifically came up with that particular hashtag. That's about it. But the whole ideology is nothing new. This Dr. Claude was saying this stuff right after 9/11. I've seen Dr. Claude speaking way back in the 90s talking like this. So this isn't the first time that someone has said this, and I just feel like that's the thing we were talking about on the phone when I called you yesterday. We was talking about how a lot of times Yvette and Tone really attack black business. And like the brother just said, we don't have enough black business where we can really make a difference. It's not that it doesn't work. We just don't have enough of it. You got Piston Automotive Group, owned by Vinnie Johnson. Vinnie Johnson used to play for the Pistons. These dudes are killing. Like, you got black people doing damn good in business. We just don't have enough. And I think that when they try, I think we really need to be vigilant that they don't make this into a strictly political argument. I think I'm not against black people withdrawing their support and galvanizing it and then, giving it to the highest bidder that's going to come with some resources. I'm all for that. That's not me being anti-political. I just think that I don't think anybody, when people say don't vote, I don't even think Dr. Claude Anderson would be like, yeah, this is a bad idea because if they coming in political. Yeah, I think nobody says that. I think what people are really saying is because black people, when you talk to them, blindly support Barack and Michelle and Bernie Sanders and stuff like that, then you can't logically, you know, have a real discussion, and you can't really move forward with the people that's going to vote.
The problem is, let's keep this real. The problem is black people get way too rhythmic, where they don't want to think. They want somebody to just tell them what to think. Or if they do want to think, it's always just like hidden agenda where it's like you trying to push this at the expense of something else. And so it's like we're too hot and too cold. Like, for instance, there's no the Tone and them can push what they're pushing without disparaging economics. They try to act like economics is a fucking distraction, as if we've been focused for economics since we were able to vote, and we ain't been focused on voting. We've been voting, and we ain't got shit for it. Like this idea, what the problem is, you're voting for the Democratic Party. That's not even a real issue. Vote for the Democratic Party is not the problem. The problem comes into they shepherd us and vote for certain things. We don't do what like the Tea Party did, which is basically grab the Republican Party by the throat and get in them damn primaries and make them bend to what the now they've done that only to so much success because Plutarch's is still good at Plutarch. But the point is, you know, that's not the whole story as well. The problem is voting Democrat. I'm not saying whether you should vote for it. It's like people do not talk in all the angles. They just talk in these like narratives that allow you to believe what they want you to believe. And a lot of people do it. Anyway, go ahead.
No, and that's it, man. That's the thing. I mean, I've kind of made a few videos like when Jay Morrison came out with the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. I mean, he shot it down before it even took off the ground, man. I made a video about that. That's why I don't subscribe. I can't watch videos whereby people literally tell you to go and with hat in hand begging the government and saying they owe you. The thing I will agree on is that blind support of the Democrat Party, which is something black people have done, let's not do that. That's a smart, intelligent thing to do. I think one of the most beautiful things, this is probably one of the best times to be black right now, is because black people right now are fed up. And I never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I would be alive to see black people actually on a grassroots level get fed up and start saying we're not going to vote for anybody unless they start saying they have a black agenda. That's something I never thought I would see. I'm being honest with you. I said I ain't going to ever see that. They're going to just destroy us. We're going to be destroyed. We're never going to be, we're going to be 2% of the population before we realize what the hell happened. So I'm just happy to see black people starting to say, fuck it, I'm not going to be down with this whole situation. I'm at Home Depot corporate headquarters. That whole fucking labor force is Indian. I'm in a room all day today with Indians, people from Russia, 2 dudes from Russia, some Indians, a couple of Asians, and a couple of Africans. Not one person in there was of descendant of slaves, American descendant. Not one. And when I see them, they working in like call center departments. They not working in the IT where the money. I hate to say it like that. Where the money is, they don't work in that section.
No, absolutely. And
when the African guy saw me, he stared at me like, "Damn, this the guy I've been emailing." This because I've been talking to this guy for like 6 weeks, 2 months, sending him emails and everything. He didn't know who I was, and then now he saw me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" That's how he said it. Everybody kind of looked at him because I guess he kind of was like shocked. But that's the thing. We're not. And what really pisses me off about this, I train people. They make it like this shit is so hard, Ed, man. It really ain't, man. You can teach. I'm teaching this shit to people that have no background. And I'm not trying to do a shameless plug. I'm teaching this shit to people with no background. So we got all these foreigners coming over here with the H-1B1 visa, and you got to have a 35 on the ACT, and you got to do. No, the hell you don't. You just got to understand how to talk to the damn database. That's something anybody can learn. Not anybody, but I can teach a lot of, most black people can learn. If you can go to college and get an education, you could probably learn how to do how to code.
What folks got to understand, because they don't get that, because a lot of times people talking about, when they think we're talking about economics, they think we're just talking about entrepreneurialism. That's really what they think. And they think, and because people, number one, Black people have a very fucked up mentality on entrepreneurialism, but even take that off the table. You're talking more about getting good paying jobs. That's really what you're talking about. Like, you're talking about, like when you was talking about sales, because Sub-Zero is speaking about his Salesforce, and I'm gonna get his channel and spam his channel, because a lot of things in a lot of videos that Sub-Zero has is really talking about good paying jobs you didn't think about. Like, I didn't know there was a thing called expedited freight, where you use like a big old van and you can basically buy a van, be like an independent contractor, and work with companies like Panther and stuff like that to get in. I know about the trucking industry, but I didn't know about that. And you got a lot of Uber drivers that could probably get promote themselves to that. Are you talking about mainly Salesforce, which is like talking to the database? As far as people are afraid of code, they teach you this shit on purpose. And now, Mark was talking about the H1 abuse, which is something the Indians do a hell of a lot more, because that's a pipeline that they use to get people here. And even
that's something, man. What's his name? I can't remember his name. I think it was either Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Du Bois, and what's his face? Frederick Douglass. They all hated immigration, and they were talking about legal immigration, and they all were just like against it, and they were saying that it's not a friend of blacks. It's just not a friend of Black people. Legal immigration, of course, illegal, but legal immigration. Look, man, I'm in this company. These jobs are paying. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling facts, man. They're paying $100,000 for everybody in that damn room that was in there. I guarantee you, everybody in there making at least 90, 85 or more. These ain't no damn rookie jobs they giving away where they paying 60, 65, and that's good money. But I'm just saying, like, everybody's making $30,000 more than that or more in that room. And it's not coming into our community, and we're being told that, like, because I hear people talking about, well, we need to go and get free education. I'm like, Black folks gonna just go and get a bunch of sociology and psychology degrees and elementary.
Even that's a smoke screen, because that's a smoke screen, and this is why there's everything you're being told. There is a reason you are being told it. Like, when you look at getting these degrees and go, like, for instance, black men are not as goofy about it as the women are, but Black men should not, their first option should not be, unless you got generational wealth in your family, your first option should not be to go to college. Your first option should really be to get a trade, get something, and then if you want to then go to college.
Unless you're going into something like medical school. I agree. I think if you can go and get, right now, you could get into IT, and I got a couple of students coming in this next class that are gonna be associates. They got associate's degrees in computer science. You get those damn near free. You don't have no student loan debt. Get your little associates. Come holler at somebody like me. Get your little. Let me train you on what to say. I'm gonna vouch for you on your resume, and you jump straight out there making $70,000 instead of that's a shortcut. Yeah. Instead of trying to go get a 4-year bachelor's at a university, your ass is coming out with $100,000 in student loan debt. You don't got nothing but some internships. You don't know if those internships are good enough to get you a job. Now what?
Yeah, so the thing is, because it's a whole bunch of time wasting, and it's like the blind leading the fucking blind on a lot of different stuff. And again, the economic piece, economics is not necessarily about entrepreneurs.
Okay, so if you had to choose, would you choose economics or I think you need both, but would you choose
economics? No, I choose economics.
I think I do too, because I think economics doesn't mean ignore political power. It just means aggregate the economics. That's what Dr. Clark talks about. Aggregate it, then come back to it.
Nobody.
That's what he's saying.
What I told Mark was nobody is. You don't hear. Look, this ain't even about him. But anybody that's economics, do not sit there and say, well, you don't focus on the politics, focus just on economics. If they say it's economic, you got to get your economic house in order to be able to project that through the political system, because we live in a country that runs on money. That's reality. And the way I do it to simplify it, for African Americans, and I'm saying they're stupid, I'm just saying they don't think about it, is you have a voter base and a donor base. If you look at Indians and Asians, they don't have the numbers. So the main thing they do is by being a donor base. If you look at Jews, they don't have the numbers. Donor base. If you look at a lot of small pocket groups,
homosexuals,
donor base. If you look at Latinos, they're more voter base. And Latinos, and you look at it, and even though they still fight for immigration, they still get deported. You know, Obama deported a lot of so again, the donor base part is far more, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if I want to support somebody that is speaking to my issues, let's say I want to support a black male first candidate. Okay, if a black male first candidate was running in, let's say, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he's like clearly black male first, like, and he's like running on some experimental like laws that he's demonstrated he could get passed, I can send money to him. Everybody in the country can send money to him as far as African American men, heterosexual African American men.
But I think that's where you were right, because you always use the proverbial reparation check, example. If black people in Atlanta or any highly populated, densely populated black area, Birmingham, Detroit, Montgomery, if black people got checks, they would be able to make, like, for example, Jason Black did a video about Ferguson, Missouri, the city council. The guys that won the city council seats in Ferguson, Missouri, they had campaign contributions adding up to like $2,000, $1,500. Something that one guy could do. One person could do that. That's nothing. And they were winning elections like that.
Hold on, Sub-Zero. This dude is great. Bazillion Bang says, fuck ADOS, you African Americans are jealous of Caribbeans. Okay, first of all, let me tell you something. Hold on. I'm from Chicago, where Chicago was founded by a man that was half French, half French and half Haitian. Just so you understand that I understand my Caribbean history. Why, if black people are jealous of Caribbeans, why the fuck are you coming here and we're not going there except to go on tour? Like, I got a question. What is it? I'm asking you a real question. What is it that African Americans have to be jealous of black people from the islands? When black people from the
anywhere.
Hold on. I'm gonna focus on that, because black people from the islands are descendants of slaves too. So what is it that we have to be jealous of? I know he's trolling, but I'm gonna see. Don't block him. I just want to see if he has anything legit to say, or if he's just gonna be emotional, because that's all. While we defeated white man, you AAAs are kissing white ass. Huh? Okay, you said, so when you say we defeated the white man, sir, hold on. Are you Haitian or are you Jamaican? Because Jamaicans didn't really defeat white folks. White folks just got tired of dealing with the islands and decided to pull out. The Haitians did. Hold on, no, I'm gonna listen to him, because I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna let him know. You see, like, because I'm gonna come with logic where he's coming with emotion. Like, the Haitians did that, and look where the Haitians are now. Like, if you ask people where they want to be, would they rather be in the Dominican Republic or be in Haiti? Most of your Haitians are cooning it up and in here. Yep. They upset because Trump shut down their ability to be here. So what are you saying? He's Belizean. Oh man, look, what was the dude do? Sean? He got, like, come on, man. Are you serious? Most black people don't even know where Belize is. I'm very good at my geography.
Wait. So we're jealous of people from Belize.
He said because we didn't fight back. So when you say we didn't fight back,
wait, hold on. We had 250 slave rebellions. The fuck is he talking about?
Exactly. Like, why? If we didn't fight back, so are you? Hold on. Are you defining not fight back as we don't control the United States of America? Because I can make an argument that none of y'all control y'all damn countries. Y'all, just like how Africans don't, other than Nigeria, Africans don't control their countries.
Not just that. I'm from Montgomery. We did the bus boycott. A lot of the blueprint that motherfuckers follow around the world comes from what black people did in America. The fuck they?
No, first of all, now that I know he's from Belize, you're not gonna hide behind all Caribbeans because Caribbeans have different history. Haitians have had to deal with the French, and when the French controlled basically the middle of the United States, is it the war? This is what the war of 1804 did. When the Haitians revolted against the slaves in against the French in 1804, that basically paved the way for Napoleon to have to sell the basically Louisiana Purchase due to basically he couldn't capture that city because that was his economics was powering his war machine, which allowed him to control the Europeans for the brief period he did. So basically, if it wasn't for the war 1804, as far as the slave revolt, we wouldn't have the Louisiana Purchase, so you wouldn't have America as articulates today. That's Haitians. That's not you. That's not you because you're from Belize. Let me be clear about that. As far as the Jamaicans obviously have Marcus Garvey. They have reputation of the Bushmen. They dealt with the British because they're technically a part of the Commonwealth, which, by the way, Jamaica has been trying to kind of lobby to go back to the Commonwealth, by the way. But that's not you. That's the Jamaicans. We're not going to sit here and try to talk about island folks like all island folks are the same. No, you're going to hide on Belize, which I believe that may have more to do with the Spaniards. But nobody, I hate to say it this way because I'm going to sound like an asshole, but
nobody gives a shit.
Nobody knows who the fuck Belizeans are. If you say you're from Belize, they're like, what? Now, we know Haitians because Haitians are all in damn Florida, Louisiana. There's a Creole history there. You know, there's a lot of different stuff there. We know who Jamaicans are. We know people from Barbados. Hell, we know black folks in Cuba. Nobody really. The only thing we know about Belize is Shine.
I didn't know Shine. Shine is from Belize.
Yes, that's what
I didn't know that.
When he got out of jail, that's where they sent his black ass back. He's Belizean.
I didn't know.
Yeah, Belizean women are fine, so they serve as when African Americans want to go intercultural. Yeah, Belizean women gonna be the first one on the list to get basically snatched from y'all because bringing them to the United States is better than them being where they are.
What? Let me go look at this motherfucker's comment.
This dude, he's saying that we didn't fight. Okay, so I got a question for you. If we didn't fight, why do you think we have what we have? What are you talking about? Like, dude, this is what it sounds like to me. And I'm not going to waste any more time with this dude. And like 2 minutes commits to timing him out. But you keep saying we didn't fight. It sounds like you don't understand African American history. You're just saying, you're saying we didn't fight. Like, what are you talking about?
Why did they have the COINTELPRO and the Black Panthers and all that shit with the Deacons of Defense in Birmingham? When they had the hoses and the dogs on the people in Birmingham, some black dudes showed up with shotguns and that shit stopped.
Like,
know your history. Know what the fuck you're talking about.
Here's the funny thing about it. When you look at a lot of Afro-Latinos, because Belizeans are like one of these people where they try to play both sides of the fence, and they want to be islanders 1 second. I know a little bit about them. They want to be islanders 1 second, and the other second they want to be Afro-Latinos. They want to lead them in and out, folks, when they want to play this game. Understand that most Afro-Latinos are like, fighting is all y'all can do because y'all have no economics at all. So that's like only thing you can do. This is why people always want to get suspect and upset. Like, why are you even here? Because if you weren't getting over in the first place, if you didn't have anything to lose, you wouldn't have anything to talk about. So the reality, you want to talk about what you fought for, but you don't have anything. And that's why you come here and then you get upset when all I'm doing is doing a roll call. That's all I'm really doing. So you come in here and troll and make noise. Dude, I could time you out and remove you at any point. I just wanted to demonstrate that where you're sitting here and coming at me about emotionalism, I'm actually coming at you with history and facts. And the reason why I make this statement, the reason why I even decided to engage him is y'all can time him out now. I don't want to hear him no more. The reason why I even decided to engage him is because I want y'all to understand that when people have been getting over, even when we have the black woman conversation, you know, they want to make it sound like it's a broken patriarchy when the black community is really a matriarchy. See, they don't want you to think that way because now you start thinking about things in a different way. You know, nobody wants you to really say, okay, I'm gonna put all the cards on the table. Let's really delineate where things go. Nobody wants to.
But that's where a lot of these Hollywood actors and actresses are. That's where a lot of these entertainers, people that are of Caribbean and African descent, they don't really fuck with us, but they'll come over and leech us dry, take our opportunities, take our scholarships at our black colleges, take every damn thing they can, and then tell us we ain't shit.
I mean, you ain't black, you Belizean, so why are you here? that's you know, I always come back to that. I mean, at the end of the day, man, and I'm not gonna let him deter what I'm talking about, but he actually serves as an example.
No, I'm glad he said that shit. We need that type of shit.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
I want people to identify. David Johnson said, "What's Ado's biggest beef for Republicans?" I mean, it's obvious shit. I mean, like, see, again, that's another example. Like, hey, I'm not beating up on you, David, but that's another argument. People want to. This is what people want to talk about. Like with ABO, want to talk about Lincoln and all this bullshit. Republicans are the architects of the Southern strategy. Because basically, they manipulate white people by turning them against us, saying that it's not the rich plutarchs. The reason why you even have immigration like you do is for economic reasons, so the rich plutarchs can get more money. They don't just undercut black people; they actually undercut whites as well. That's what Mark was saying with the H1 thing. They undercut coders.
Let me say this. I'm actually more Republican than I am Democrat. I'm conservative. I don't see nothing. I don't see anything the ADOS is saying you listen to people, they may be anti-Republican as an individual, but I don't really see this as a Democrat-Republican thing. This is a black thing, a descendant of slavery thing. It has nothing to do with I'm more Republican. I'm conservative. I'm pro-family. I'm for low taxes. I'm for all that. So I don't see it like that. And I see the Southern strategy as something different. I'm not going to go on that tangent, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to get caught up and sucked into fighting over it, because that gives people like ABL ammunition to start saying, see, this is some liberal, no nigga. It's about black people. This is what this is about.
Exactly. What my point is, you know, the problem is black people already don't trust Republicans. So that's not where the energy is anyway. So it's like, what is their beef with Republicans? Like, it doesn't matter because most black people vote Democrat. So my thing is to let people know what the Democratic Party does. Like, you want to have the Southern strategy. Well, I want you to understand what benign neglect is, because benign neglect is just as damaging as the Southern strategy.
Actually, I think it's more because I'm gonna be honest with you. If you get somebody money, you get two people money. You give one person 4 cents or $4. You give another person $97. The one with $97 doesn't come back. The one with $3 doesn't come back. Who you mostly upset with? The one you trusted. The one you gave your interest to. That's who you're really more upset with. I don't expect. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even expect Republicans to do shit for black folks. We don't vote for them. We don't vote for them. Exactly. Yeah, we don't even vote Republicans. So I don't. That's some shit we don't even need to talk about.
I say this. This is what I always say, and that's not even talk about Republicans. You could put this on white supremacists. I say I'd rather have an honest enemy than a false friend, because at least you can't say your enemy is lying to you, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. So again, you can be a Republican. Most black people are conservative anyway. So we take on all these things that the liberal, because understand there's more white conservatives there are white liberals. Without us and Latinos, really without us or Latinos, our liberals wouldn't get past any fucking thing that they really want to get. A lot of their initiatives would not happen. Because
even Ann Coulter, who a lot of people call whatever.
Yeah, I heard.
I've been heard Ann Coulter been like that for years. People just not getting a hold of that. Like, Ann Coulter been saying that shit for damn 7-8 years, because I'm a conservative.
Ann Coulter fucked a couple of black dudes. So
yeah, she got a black boyfriend. She is not just fucking, but she really believes that the only group of people in this country, because she said it when she was on The View, she was like, she said immigrants are piggybacking off of the rights that are only owed to blacks.
Yeah,
and the thing facts, man.
And here's the thing: if I'm talking to a guy like Richard Spencer, or I wouldn't talk to him, but like an Ann Coulter, I mean, I got you, Jesse. You sent it through another email. I got you. Give me a minute or two. like if I'm talking to an Ann Coulter, see, this is what what's the dude's name? Bill Maher wouldn't like. If I was sitting there with Ann Coulter and Bill Maher, because to me, Ann Coulter is like the opposite side of Bill Maher. Is Bill Maher would actually get upset. I actually think because actually one of the Virginia senators when elections 2016, one of the senators of Virginia, his name is Jim Webb. So I mean, this is an Appalachian guy, military. He said it. He said it and said it in one snippet during the earlier debates, but I heard it and I never forgot it. He said a big issue that a lot of folks have with the civil rights thing, but they just try to wholesale get the civil rights thing, is they saying really the civil rights thing was for the descendants of African Americans, of slaves. It's not for minorities. And he even said it, but it never got revisited because that was a time where everybody was like,
they would not. They know that. That's why they did. That's why it didn't blow up, because the media know they won't get their gay shit through. They won't get their pedophile shit through that they trying to molest little kids. They're not gonna get to do that.
So a lot of the friction is that they're using that, and he said, if you only give it to like the descendants of like African, basically ADOS, or that was even coined, then it wouldn't be as many flocks that white people would not have. Which, as ADOS, I don't even talk about that. I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but look, Richard Spencer, I can send you the clip where Richard Spencer said, we need to get all these immigrants out of here. I'd rather see it go to blacks. He said black Americans. He said that himself. Richard Spencer, who I know don't really give a fuck about us. But I don't see with me when it comes to politics, I shut my emotions off. It ain't about that. I don't give a fuck. You can have on a Klan outfit and be in the White House for all I care. Like, people get all emotional about people being racist. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck if he's racist. What's up with these resources? How we gonna divide them? How this shit gonna go? You can hate me to hate my gut.
And this is what it comes down to, like economics. The economic side of it, there are certain things that politics are not gonna do. Like, I hate to say this, I'm a Democrat. So, and it's not that I hate to say it, but this is the truth. This is one thing the ABL always says, and they try to act like they so right, which he's not wrong when he says it, but it's just his angle with it that gets on my nerves. When he talks about like Detroit or like a lot of these cities, hell, you can argue LA. These cities, these are democratically controlled cities. He'll say they don't benefit black people. They don't, because I'm gonna tell you why. Because Democrats will have you believe that if you just give them all the power and you don't take economic control of your zone, then everything will be okay. But we've seen what that happens. If you look at Atlanta is Atlanta not because of just the politics, is black bodies there. Atlanta is Atlanta because of the black businesses that are there. And if you remove the black businesses and now it's like it becomes like 75% non-black, and black people, you're going to see that reflected in the black population there. Even if
I'm gonna tell you like this: that Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms that they got, she's doing everything she can to make this shit get as many black people out of this. She's trying to help all the Mexicans. She's fighting against ICE immigration. She's very pro-immigrant, and she's black. So it remains to be seen. Atlanta's the Detroit of the. Atlanta right now is where Detroit was in the 60s and 70s. It's that major city that could become that third. It can kind of mess with Chicago. It's that city. But what's going to happen if we're not careful is these motherfuckers that's here is really pro Hispanic and immigrant, and a lot of them motherfuckers is flooding in Atlanta. And black people are able to compete here, I will admit, more so than I've seen in other cities. But at the same time,
but my thing
the leadership is gonna fuck us up. We gotta watch our leadership.
Exactly, and that's really what happened with Detroit. The leadership fucked shit up. I mean, Dr. Clark tried to come in and tried to do something like, and this is what happens when you don't focus on the economic part. You can't have one or the other. You have to have both. And I would say if you gotta pick one, you gotta have the economic. Because most of your Asians, the Indians, do not have the politics.
You know why? I'm gonna say why I think you gotta have the economic, and then if I had to choose. Because at any given moment, Asians aren't that involved in politics. But at any given moment, if they want to change some shit, they'll write a check and it's done.
It's obvious. It's not even a question. And the thing is, we've been focused only on the political part. You cannot argue with me since we were able to vote in 1964 that we have focused on economics in any real way. Nope. You can't make that argument at all to me. So the
But that's
reality,
Yvette Carnell's argument that black capitalism failed. She literally said that.
yeah. And my thing is, and this, and the reason why it's not that I'm trying to denigrate Yvette Carnell. What I'm trying to let y'all know about is, if y'all want to listen to that Pastor Pork Chop shit all you want to, individually, you got to get your own shit together. And at the end of the day, there is, okay, if I look at you economically, you need help. We all know what money is, money not being in our pockets and stuff like that. But let's keep it real with you. There is no political thing that's going to help you individually right now. If you needed to fix your credit, there is no, well, they're just gonna make it so credit don't mean nothing no more. You know that's not happening. And as far as reparations is, if you get a check, I mean, if you get a check, most of y'all are just gonna give it away anyway. And I know I was railing against people that said that, but the reality is, my point is, there is no political solution other than really socialism to your economic problem.
Hold on, let me say this. If they was to cut checks for $500,000 for every black person, it's a lot of black folks out here that are gonna do damn good. And they're going to invest. I would venture to say, at least out of the 44 million, I would venture to say at least half of them would make some sound investments. I really believe that. I don't have this warped view. I don't have this warped view of African Americans to the point. It's really what you think of your people.
It's not even about that. I get what you're saying, but all you got to do, and I'm going to tell you why. Like, my thing is, that is not an excuse to not give it to people. But what I'm saying is, what you're doing is you're going to say, okay, the game, I'm fucked up in the game. And rather than focus on practical things that I need to do to get fucked up, what I'm going to do is sit here and then act like I'm going to get this check. And the reality is, you not in this political cycle, you not getting no check. That's not what's going to happen in the next 4 5
No. I don't believe that either. I'm just telling you that I think you did. Yeah, I think when black people come together in the ADOS movement, I think what it does is it may start earmarking certain benefits specifically for blacks. That's something we've never seen. I can't remember the last time they did something specific since the damn field order in damn 1860 something, 1870.
Exactly. But see, the thing is, and I'll let Jesse get in this on a second, but my thing is, I didn't even want to make it about all of that, because the reality of the situation is, when you look at how black people operate when it comes to escrow, when you look at how black people operate when you look, what happens is we are very consumer minded. I'm not saying that that's a reason to not give nothing now, but what I'm saying is, I didn't even want to talk about the damn reparations argument, because the problem is that argument is one side of the argument. Most of this, like, there is no, well, it's all reparations or it's nothing. There is so many different layers to the economic argument, even if you're not being an entrepreneur. That's the thing. There's a lot of jobs that black people don't pursue because they're told to go get a college, go get a good job, and play this game that they know doesn't work for us. Like, our women are like drowning in debt. I mean, most Americans are when it comes to, the damn school shit. But our women, talk about they the most educated, but they're a lot of them are unmarriable because so much debt that they're in. But that's not something that anybody considers, because that's nothing that's been brought up to them. So not anyway, Jesse. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so what's going on? First of all, thanks for having me on as always. My thing is, outside of the reparations thing, right? It really needs to be a system in place that we can develop people to create a black merchant class, right? Because a lot of the things that we're doing in terms of business, in terms of personal finance and wealth building, is counterproductive. You know what I'm saying? And for Yvette Carnell to say that black capitalism failed, it's completely false. There's a great book. There's a great book by the author is Juliet E.K. Walker called The History of Black Business in America, Capitalism, Race, Entrepreneurship, Volume 1. And in this book, it talks about all of the great enterprises and businesses that have been created by African descendants of slaves within this country. And it also tells there's several stories within this book that talks about how black business people have been cheated, have been defrauded out of their businesses and their livelihood by a certain group of people. There's many of the people that were getting accused of rape and things of that nature that was uncovered by the sister. See if you can help me out here. What's the sister that was the
Michelle
journalist?
Alexander. Michelle Alexander.
No, it's just this back in the day. This
Ida B. Wells.
Yeah, Ida B. Wells, right. So a lot of those brothers that were falsely accused and hung were actually black business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in and took their shit after they killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a book called Black New Orleans. You got an echo, Sub-Zero.
Oh, my bad.
There's a book called Black New Orleans where it talks about how the black people, right, the free black people within New Orleans, which some of them were, and this is not talking about mulattoes, right? Because they had free black people in New Orleans that weren't mulattoes, because they actually separated the black from the mulatto in identity, in culture back in these times. And this is, Civil War, this is Reconstruction and stuff like that. The most skilled people within New Orleans at this particular time were actually black people. And what happened was you had a lot of angry white men that they had the skilled trades on, that black people had the skilled trades on lock. They took the political route and started passing legislation that not only trained white men to get into those positions, but it also passed legislation that were able to take away the properties and the businesses from a lot of these black people that were, highly skilled. And so black capitalism never failed. It was thwarted and it was sabotaged by white jealousy and white envy. And that's the true story about black capitalism.
Yeah, and that's why I call it economic terrorism. That's why I call it Jim Crow. We need to call it what the fuck it was. It was terrorism. Yeah, because we need to bring that back. We need to bring that back in today's context, and that's exactly what it was. And the reality of the situation is they wouldn't have had to do that if it didn't work. It did work.
Exactly.
And it worked under a lot more restrictive circumstances.
And let me say this. Despite all of that shit that happened to all those brothers that were thriving in business, that were killed and accused to be rapists and all this stuff, you still had successful black businessmen that supported the UNIA, that helped to fund the UNIA. You still had successful black businessmen that supported the civil rights movement. I just did a post a couple days ago talking about how A.G. Gaston bailed Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail in Birmingham, Alabama, I believe it was, where he was locked up for $5,000, back in the 1960s, I want to say. And also A.G. Gaston, he owned motels where a lot of those civil rights leaders, when they were in the Alabama area, they slept in his hotels because, the white hotels wouldn't have them as guests. So there is no black empowerment. There is no black liberation without the presence of the black merchant class.
This is why people always give what's his name, Sidney Poitier, a pass, because they say, okay, you was with a white woman, but when you look at all the shit he did, where he was like one of the go-to people when it comes to, okay, I need some money because I'm fucked up in the game. Umar Johnson could have took his ass to him and got that $1 million. Relatively speaking, right? You see what I'm saying? So he got a pass because the tangibles that he was offering, it was very clear that he was like, okay, he's in the economic. This is why people say pro-black is economic first. Because if you're a physical asset, what are you going to do? Are you going to see this is the funny thing. Let me tell you this, and this is for all the people that want to support DJ Vlad against another brother. Would you rather support somebody? Let's say you have somebody like, I won't even say like Phil, because Phil has black kids. But you support somebody that's like 48 is with a white woman, has only been with white women, right? But would you rather him be a benefactor, or would you rather DJ Vlad be your benefactor? I mean, most people, you see what I'm saying? When you think of it that way, they're gonna be like, okay, this a black man has to have some investment because at the end of the day, his black ass is black. So, or let's say a Tiger Woods, if Tiger Woods actually, stop playing the Blasian bullshit. At the end of the day, he can't run away from it. As we've seen, there are a lot of people that will be with white people will have learned. So we know there's some investment there, and that's the game that people don't want to think about. It's like people want to be cool with being an underclass. They want to be. It's like they want this one size fits all. Understand something? This is like World War. This is not World War II. This is like World War One. This is going to be like trench warfare. And that's where the economic part comes into. The economic part feeds into politics. Politics does not feed into economics.
I said that a few days ago when I was talking about the business tip. But
with ADOS, you are going to have here's the thing. The first thing is to take a roll call, which means this is what we know. We know black people spend X amount of money a year. We know that. Like people say it's $1 trillion. I don't give a fuck what number it is. It's enough. Let's say that if it is $1 trillion, understand I think Nigeria's GDP is like $300 and something billion. And I think Nigeria outside of South Africa is like the strongest. Let me make sure I got my numbers right.
See, I think it actually surpassed South Africa if I'm not mistaken.
It's 300. It's $375 billion. Now America's 19 trillion. And yeah, it did. South Africa is 349 billion. Black people GDP is economic commerce activity. So it's not just about what you spend. It's not spending. It's spending, and it's just anything moving. It's kind of like your circular, anything moving all is like GDP. It's like the thing, it's like it's economic activity. So spending is one part of it, but it's not even the majority part. With that said, black people spend the numbers, almost $1 trillion a year. So that's not even GDP amongst black people. That's just what we spend. So with that being said, we spend literally almost 2.5 times what Nigeria is worth. And keep in mind, Nigeria has oil. Nigeria has a lot of other things. So my point to that is we have a base number. Let's say it's $900 billion a year. Let's just say that. We have a base number. And by the way, on a side note, there was a guy that said, this is actually a fucking lie. This shows how ignorant this statement is. Because I've actually done the math and I didn't get the chance to say it. I'm not gonna say who it is because I'm not trying to really start shit. But anybody that tells you that your athletes can pretty much give you everything that that the government could give you, your athletes and your entertainers could pay for all that. That is somebody that does not know what the fuck they're talking about. And let me tell you why they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because I've actually done the numbers. I've actually done the rough estimate calculations. By calculation, if you remove endorsements and just count salary of what these players get, and you add them all up, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball, whatever, right? They make about $4.6 billion a year. Let's say $5 billion a year. So if you were to remove all of that and just give that to black people, I mean, that's not, I mean, there's a lot you can do with that, but that's not equivalent to reparations. So to even anybody that says that is dumb. They're dumb, they're ignorant, but they're dumb because they're choosing to put out information that they know they can't prove. Because I've actually done the rough calculations. And let me clear here, basketball, your athletes make a hell of a lot more than your entertainers. Outside of your Kevin Harts and stuff like that, maybe only the top, if 10% of your entertainers make the kind of money that what NBA players make. It's most of your entertainers are broke. Most of your entertainers don't make that much money as you think. If you look at what they made as far as Black Panther, these motherfuckers made they made a couple $1 million. So no, they're not, especially now, they're not making the same kind of money as your baseball players, your basketball players, and even your football players. Your football players don't make that much money compared to your basketball players. And again, it's only 500 NBA players at any given time. So we're talking about income that's being generated. So anybody that tells you that your entertainers or athletes can basically pay for everything black people need, these are fucking morons. And if you get offended because you think I'm talking to you, I am talking to you. Because I'm talking to anybody that wants to say that shit. Because that
I'm offended, dog. I'm offended.
Okay, well, I mean, like I said, prove me wrong.
No. Let me say this. I'm not offended. I'm just gonna say this.
I know you're playing, but
given the condition where we are, let's just say nothing happens. That drop in the bucket, yeah, it'll take 25 years to reverse things, but that could be something. That's all I would say. But you're right. I wouldn't say that the government can drop 2-3 trillion a year into it and probably make it plausible and switch around with a few things and fix it quick. But that's just me.
But let me say this. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say this, right? We really have to develop the black community to be able to go toward a certain mindset, to go toward a certain behavior. Because I talked about this on the last hangout, and I mentioned the BGS, how most black people behaviorally are still behaving with the same behavior patterns as slaves are in regards to how they consume, how they mate, how they work, and all of this stuff, right? So for me, in my mind, reparations, right, that will have the same effect that, let's say, a black mayor giving out city contracts to black business owners, right? It'll make some black millionaires and stuff like that, like it has in Orleans, like it has in Baltimore, like it has in Atlanta and other black cities where that happened. But as far as the masses of black people, it's not I don't think it would have a really big impact. So I think that it's key to be able to train and to really try to develop a black merchant class because that's going to be your foundation for your community regardless. Like in a capitalistic society, if you don't have that black economic merchant class, business class, where you have and you need a certain percentage, right? You need a certain percentage of black business owners making a decent yearly income. Even if you're a business owner making, let's say, $50,000 a year, you know what I'm saying, or $100,000 a year for a household, somewhere in between that is really, decent money. I mean, you may not be able to drive a Benz or a Range Rover, you know what I mean? Because listen, right? I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, $50,000 ain't no money. $50,000 ain't no money." Yada yada yada. But when you think about it, most people don't make $50,000. I mean, 51% of millennials, according to the Census Bureau and the income calculator on Wall Street Journal, 51% of black millennials make $15,000 a year or less, and 41% of white millennials make $15,000 a year or less. So 50,000 is a big jump from 15,000.
Okay, so a lot of people say that because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and I hate saying that because people feel some type of way. But fuck these people, because their chances are they're one of these people that know what the fuck they're talking about. The reality of the situation is most black people think in income. Remember, we got the zeitgeist of a black woman. Our core issue is a culture issue, and we have a lot of the stuff we're talking about. There's a reason why Jewish people have traditions, Indians, or Chinese. You see the kid working on a homework, and then they at the Chinese thing because they understand how to use a register. If I ask some of y'all to start a business and y'all and understand how to use a register, you understand that some of these people know how to use a register like a bike, because you're starting to see a lot of these registers start to transition with the iPads and stuff with the new technology. They know how to do the merchant. And I'm glad you're using the term merchant class, because a lot of times the reason why immigrants will come over here and take advantage of what they have is for two reasons. One, they don't have it there. They don't have the liquidity and the liberalistic capital markets you have in the United States, but they do have a mercantilistic culture. And in that mercantilistic culture, it doesn't take much to transition to that. Basically, they may have a little bit of money or access to things like land, but they don't have wealth where they can transition. It's kind of like how Iran has oil, but they don't know how to turn it into gas. So turn it into, that's why they use American companies to do it. This is where we come in, and we don't want them to learn how to do it themselves because they box out. Anyway.
And a quick sidebar, because you brought up Iran, and like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I never knew that United States was actually the biggest producer of oil and gas in the nation. So that was interesting.
Exactly, because they won't have you think that, because they'll have you thinking like it's crazy what they'll have you think. They'll have you think, oh, Iran's evil. They're actually evil, but we do business with them. So it's like at the end of the day, that political crap is an angle to a certain extent. And so anyway, going back to what I was saying is one of the guys that y'all should follow, and I like this dude a lot, it's a black dude. His name is Peter Harris. And he basically talks a lot about commercial real estate. If y'all want to get gamed up on commercial real estate, y'all can listen to his videos for 30 like minutes or so. Very good. He wrote how commercial real estate for dummies, and the for dummies books don't hire people don't know what to talk about. One of the five things that he talked about.
Let me ask you something. So, and you guys said, and I was just in something, I couldn't really speak. You guys were speaking a minute ago, and you stated that we would get more millionaires, but it wouldn't really make a difference. Let me ask you something. And Dr. Claude Anderson broke these numbers out in the Powernomics lecture.
I mean, I didn't say that, but okay.
Yeah, but one in 100 black people own businesses where they can actually employ somebody else or work for themselves. 1 in 13 Asians, right? So what would that number drop to? And you get what I'm saying? Because it's going to drop if everybody if we just did a check. I know that's the thing that people just want to disparage. I'm not against a check. Fuck that. Give me my check.
Well,
A better question would be if all three of us on here got a $500,000 check. Would you say we gonna fuck it up? You gonna fuck your check up, Jesse or Elwood? I ain't fucking mine up. I done made that kind of money in 12 months. I know what to do with it.
I understand that, but again, I'm not talking. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm not talking about reparations anymore because right now, because we've been talking about this argument keeps sucking to reparations. The reality of the situation is, in the next 2 or 3 political cycles, you are not getting a $500,000 check. That's not gonna happen in the next. That's not happening in 2020. That's not happening in 2024. That's not happening in 2028. That's not gonna that's just okay, Sub-Zero will probably come back. He's probably doing something. But to speak to his question, can you hear me? Jesse, you can hear me, right? Y'all press one if y'all can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, to speak to what he was saying is our core culture, I'm not gonna say there's nothing to that statement. This idea that everybody, no. Americans are consumeristic as hell, and black people are ultra consumeristic. You can fuck up $500,000 very quickly. You see how much wealth black people lost in the real estate market. As far as the damn 2008 scenario, because they wanted to get a house and they could so this idea that if everybody got $500, it'd just be so much money and it'd be impossible to dissipate. No, I don't agree with that. And it's not about me thinking anything about black people. It's about me understanding the lack of, and this is what I'm going to speak to in a second. It's about me understanding the lack of business knowledge and the miseducation that has happened. And I'm sorry, I know people don't want to believe that, but I've seen black people get a check and piss it away. It is not. Look, I've pissed away $10,000. The reality of the situation is people think it's impossible. It ain't impossible to piss away. I mean, think about it. You can buy 2 premium cars. Think about it. You can buy a house and 2 premium cars and piss away $500,000 when you think of taxes and stuff like that.
And I'll say this. Look, I'm from New Orleans, man, so I already know what went down during Katrina. You know what I'm saying? Most people, of course, was doing right with their money, but you did have, I ain't gonna say most, a lot of people were doing right with their money. You did have a lot of people that was overdoing this, so to speak. And outside of that, I mean, just look at the statistics for people that win the lottery. You know what I'm saying? Look how many of those people, and look at how many athletes And lottery winners, you know, have so much money and they end up being broke like shortly after, you know?
Yeah, this has nothing. This has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with what I think about black people. This is about, like, I understand how we are when it comes to money, and I understand how we've been educated and miseducated.
It's
That
the
just is.
reality of the behavior. It's the
Yeah,
reality.
exactly. And like, my point is, I understand what Sub-Zero would do with it, or the people in his circle would do with it. But I understand what a lot of other people would do with it too. I mean, that just is what it is. I mean, if you want to look at economic activity, look at how much money exists from the crack era. A hell of a lot of money was made. Everybody didn't get put in jail. Where are these motherfuckers at now? Most of them ain't Jay-Z, where they stopped. Most of them ain't got that money. And that's just a reality of it. So I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying that first, we're going to have to get our economics together. We have to get the group economic part. And that's not going to work anyway. We'll never get that kind of political leverage until we get the group economic part together. That's all I'm saying. But and the reality is, this idea that in the next 3 political cycles, and that's not what Sub-Zero said, but people act like it's not imminent that you're gonna get your check. So I can agree with people right now just to shut that conversation down. But the conversation keeps coming to reparations. That's what it keeps coming back to. And most of your groups basically take what they have and they organize it in the way to push to what they need to get. That's really what the point of this conversation was that I had. Everything wants to be, so now it's like, there's no way to get away from reparations. Why can't we talk about the fact, and I'm gonna give you a perfect example. There's another thing I was gonna talk about. The reason I brought up Peter Harris is because Peter Harris talks about commercial real estate. Most of y'all don't even know how much the buildings that are in y'all cities are worth. Y'all don't know the buildings, how much they cost to build. Y'all can't even look at how much your block costs. Have y'all even ever added up the houses that are in your block and understand how much that costs? How much does the environment around you cost? How much does that land cost? We are not taught to think this way. This is why, people want to talk about BGS. When BGS talk about y'all need to go to the suburbs and then buy land, people want to say, oh, you being a commie, you being this, you being that, because they're getting emotional. I'm like, the reality of the situation is he's actually correct. You want to go in areas where the land is inexpensive and develop that. Or you want to go to cities where the cost of living is low, like a Mobile, Alabama, like areas where you can build the stuff you need to build. But nobody never thinks about that element.
Let me ask you this, because that sounds great, and I agree with that. But I think the piece that we always miss in these conversations is how do you personally think that we get to a point where we can form these groups, right? For example, me, you, AM1, and BGS, just using as example, we start actually creating businesses together and operating these businesses. We start actually looking at properties as a group that moves together, right? Like, how do we get to that point where we start doing that? Because that's the issue.
The problem is we have a culture problem, and that's why you hear me always say 60% of black people ain't gonna make it. That's a euphemism for I'm not looking for the majority of black people because I'm not gonna change what they're on. They are on what they are on, and that's it. I'm sorry. You see, even with this, motherfuckers coming out with this all magical shit. You got people on the flat earther shit. You got black people on the Hebrew Israelite shit. You got people on the Nation of Islam shit. You got people on the Christianity can do no wrong shit. You got people on the socialism shit as far as capitalism is fucked up shit. You got people on the gay shit. You got people on the let all immigrants in because we all human beings shit. They want to do everything but be black. Everything. You got people that's on the Greek shit and before being black. They want to do everything but be black. And my thing is, I'm not necessarily, you got to agree with me, but I'm always looking at what you are okay, as far as this particular topic, what I'm looking for is black bodies. Because make no mistake, I'm not one of these people where everything got to be black men. Like, I do believe that there's an angle that I'm always going to have for black men, but understand something. I'm not going to be like, oh, Erica's a woman, so I'm not. No, Erica is a woman that understands what she's talking about and has skills, has connections, and has a lot of knowledge. So that is a black body that is on this business stuff. You got people like Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is somebody that's actually demonstrated he can actually transfer information to people and actually get people jobs, which is something very few black people has actually demonstrated you can do. And so he's one. And there are a couple of things we disagree on, but that stuff pales in the comparison as to that mission. Erica don't like when I say 80% of black women have contempt for black men. She really bothered, annoys the hell out of her. And she's checked me on a couple of things behind the scenes because I've gotten a little bit too pro blacky, on my other Facebook page because too many white people around. So, but and I get it, but everybody doesn't agree on everything. But on these core things, do we agree on? And although one thing both of them have in common is they both know they black, and it's something that doesn't even get talked about. I don't even need to ask them to prove it because they know. It ain't nowhere. I'm a Hebrew Israelite, and because of that, we have a different state. Like, it's fucking stupid. So, going back to all of that, the first thing to answer your question directly, the first thing you do is say, look, are you business minded? Like me and you, I didn't know you. I mean, you sounded like you're business minded, but then I found out you in digital marketing. So that was a bonus. Same thing with Sigma, same thing with even City of Truth. Like, I might have you in City of Truth. City of Truth is in Truckee. That's the first thing. Then it's like, okay, can we work together on business stuff and then understand that we can benefit from each other? Because there's different things. It may be money, maybe credit, maybe insight, maybe knowledge. City of Truth is in the trucking industry. He has he's somebody like, I know him, I know MOT, I know Sub-Zero. Then you've got you with digital marketing. I have a different aspect to that. King Six Sigma has a completely different aspect that we both see what I'm saying, and you start finding ways that you can work together to benefit each other. All right, you back, Sub-Zero. I know you said fuck it because
no, man. I'm up here at this Jamaican spot, man. I was up here chilling, man. I like to stop over here and get a drink and just chill, man. They
spray paint ADOS on that shit. No.
hey, that's crazy.
I won't do that. I wouldn't do that. I mean, honestly, for the most part, Jamaicans have actually been cool. Like, Jamaicans actually
you really took my words out of my mouth. I was about to unmute my mic. They're one of the few like foreign groups that when it comes to coming to America and acclimating and really immersing into the culture, Jamaicans do that.
And Jamaicans don't change up their shit. Yeah, some Haitians do, but Jamaicans don't change up their shit. Shout out to Young Grizzly. They still Jamaican, but at the same time, so this is not we fuck everybody. No. We're not like that at all. We know who's been cool and who's been on the bullshit. We know, like it's just something that's never said. And again, I'm not even really on non-American blacks like that. My thing is, in these key positions, when it comes to them representing us, just like when that dude that all of colorism queens wanted to jump on that football player that was toasting his baby with light skin, something like that. I'm like, that dude ain't African American. That dude ain't ADOS. That dude's from another country. So don't put that on us. Don't.
You know what, man? And that's really, when you look at these articles, a lot of the articles that Professor Black Truth tends to outline or Jason Black talks about, they're written by African immigrants or the children who were raised in those houses of those African immigrants and or Caribbean immigrants that think like that. Like that one female that calls us a kata, I forget her name, but she made some comment about us being a katas, and
they sound like that Belizean dude.
Yeah, they make these comments, but it's like they're the ones that when it comes to trying to speak to the black experience in America, they're the ones that people tend to gravitate towards to put a mic to their face.
Yeah,
but they won't answer Edward Anderson. They won't answer BGS. They won't answer O'Shea or somebody. They'll ask somebody that clearly has an agenda. That's why the LGBT stuff has become so strong and prevalent in our communities, because they don't have any loyalty to. That's why, I know we don't talk about reparations. You didn't say you want to talk about that, but it hasn't been in the conversation because, like Jason Black said, These people get into these off places like Barack Obama. He didn't have a dog in that fight. He didn't care. It's not, it's not. My brother's a conservative Republican. He told me, look, I run for president if I ever make it that far, because he's a city councilman. He said, if I ever make it that far up, I'm getting reparations. I don't care. That is, said they might shoot me, but we damn sure going for reparations.
And this is why, and even still, you speak to city councilmen, and because I want to get away from the politics thing, but for real, we should be looking at how many people do we got in the city council. We should be looking at that. Everybody should know, okay, just like how you got more black people that know how many black coaches are in the NFL, then they know how many black people in the city council they own damn city. Like even from a political standpoint, and going back to Yvette real quick, it's so much stuff that we can get deeper on when it comes to the politics. As far as black people need to be educated on, you shouldn't even need to be talking about economics, because there's a lot of
one thing real quick, because you brought up city council. I brought this up on one of the hangouts last year with you, and there's a brother named Reggie Mayberry, who has something called a Black City Plan. And his plan is actually to create black cities that are ruled by black people economically, politically. And his plan to get reparations is actually for the incorporated cities to sue the federal government for reparations.
That's a strategy, but that's going to require money. And to speed that up, absolutely, that's an absolutely great strategy. There's a lot of ways to do this. The thing is, people don't want the collective zeitgeist to even begin to pay attention to this, because it's going to be too many. It's going to be too many things you got to bop down. And if you actually put money behind a lot of these strategies, it doesn't take a lot of money. I mean, a lot of this stuff can be self-funded. Like think about what the dude, like for instance. Think about and shout out to Devin. I know one thing Devin said, like, when he said, "Oh, well, it's glad to see men not talk about sisters." One of the things I will say as a black man, and I'm guilty of it too, so I'm not gonna just jump on the colorism queens, is I don't necessarily, my first thought is not, okay, if I see somebody say some fuck shit, is that an African American woman or not? And I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start looking first. Okay, is this chick Ado saying this fuck shit or not? And if they not, then I can't really put it on witchery or coonery, because coonery is betraying, meaning you're supposed to be in the group. Now, if you're not in the group because of tribalism, that's just you undermining. That's a different thing. So that's one thing I'm going to start looking at, because when you look at people like the Grapevine, I'm just looking at the Shade Room right now, which is ran by a Nigerian. You got a lot of Nigerian females that say a lot of fuck shit. And it's like they never say nothing about they men, but they'll use black, but we all know they talk about African American men, and they'll use that. And because our women feed into that message, they won't necessarily think, oh, they giving their dudes a pass.
There's a list. There's a list. World Star, God rest the dude. So
there is a list.
World Star, Lovely T. She ain't one of us.
Yep.
They the blackest Haitian. These people, but they make videos specifically outlining the African American culture, even though they're not part of it. I'm not saying Jada Black he on code on a lot of stuff. I'm not throwing him. I'm just saying he's not one. But what you're saying is, okay, like it needs to be at least a list saying, okay, cool, like not cool. Okay, he's cool, not cool. Absolutely. And these are Issa Rae is one of them. The girl, Denai Guerrero Okoye from Black Panther. She was in an interview saying her first and utmost thing is, representing black culture, making sure black people get opportunities in Hollywood, basically over our ass, over the shit that we died and bled for.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it is, and again, that's actually one thing that once this blog, like me and MLT is working on, like we really start getting on it, that's one thing I'm going to cover. Because one of the things about that blog is lists. And I'm not talking about lists as far as just this. The main thing I've talked to you about it, like lists of up and coming black comedians, lists of up and coming this. And now one of the things, whenever I put a list out, I'm going to make sure one of it is going to be what descent they're in. Not because I'm trying to get them phased out, but if they ever say something stupid, it's going to be okay. I know, because what we have to understand is, again, and Prophet of Thought said this so beautifully. Shout out to him, or is it Prophet of Thought? I think it was something true. I think it's Prophet of Thought. He said that the reason why we get disrespected is because we're looked at as like the thoughts of the Black diaspora. And that's absolutely true. It feels good to run through a thought, but at the end of the day, when a thought wants some self-respect, you a thought. And again, that comes back to, it's not about what I can do for you, but what I can do to you. Because people don't respect, when you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. They don't respect when you do something. Black people should be a living example of that. They only power is not what I can do for you, but what I can do to you. And doing to you is not necessarily physical violence for the idiots out there that want to twist my words. Doing to you is what I can remove from you. Like, for instance, if you got a child and you bought your son an iPad and he do some dumb shit, you can remove that iPad from him. That is you in the eyes of your child doing something to him. You give it, you take it away. That's somewhere in the Bible, I guess, or it is said in the church. So we understand these concepts. But people want to try to twist that into physical violence. But anyway, going back to the economic.
What's interesting about the ADOS thing, right? And I just realized this today. There's actually a lot of Africans in the U.S. as well as in their own country that's actually paying attention to this whole thing. You know what I mean? I actually had some sisters from South Africa who are actually Jason Black and Tariq Nasheed fans that were asking me, what do you think about ADOS and what have you, So that's very interesting that they're paying attention to that from outside of the country. So.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, man. I'm not 100% just like scrap the Pan-African movement. But what I do think is you can't get nobody else good till you get yourself good. When you're on an airplane and they tell you when the cabin pressure depressurized, put your mask on before you put somebody else's mask on. We as African Americans, we can't afford to help people. So that's the thing. Like, we can't afford to have people come over and pick it back. We just can't do it. Later on, when we economically where we need to be, so should be, then we can start looking out for other people.
Let me say this, because I said this in my video. The reason ADOS is so important is because we need this identifying term so that we can be able to effectively practice Pan-Africanism.
Exactly.
Every other group already has that term. When Haitians come to America, even though they may identify as Black African American, they'll tell you they're Haitian American. Nigerians, we Nigerian American. Ghanaians, we Ghanaian American. So we need our term that specifies our specific lineage and specific shared history within the United States, so that we can, like, for example, I'm about to move to Ghana. So what I actually have a plan on doing is creating an American descendant of slave, some type of group, you know what I'm saying? American Descendant of Slave Association, so that we can, so that me and those that identify with that, we can have they identified, because there's already an African American association in Ghana, right? The name's African American Association. But the thing is they have people from other lineages within that group. So they have cats from Jamaica that's in that. They have cats that's from Haiti that's in that. And they have even Ghanaian Americans that's within that organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, and here's the thing. People want to, again, you got to push past all that bullshit. As far as the Pan-Africanist thing, even with Dinah's talking about, no, I think you said that, Sub-Zero, like Pan-Africanist leanings. But and I agree with that. Like, first of all, we came up with Pan-Africanism in the first fucking place. So, I mean, and it's other folks that want to act like they not on that shit because they want to see it as like they think we getting over, even though technically everybody is getting over in Africa, but they want to stand up when it's us. Not even trying to get over, but actually trying to get them a better deal. And Dinus, I'll trust Dinus for now, but Dinus said that changing. I'm not against Pan-Africanism at all. I'm the main one. You see me on this channel talk about intercultural dating. But what at the same time is I've always said I have a strong footing in who I am and what I'm about. And that's why I'm not afraid to branch out. Like I'm not trying to get absorbed in somebody else, even though I do think African Americans, everybody has cultural problems, not just African Americans. But we tend to have this thing where we look for validation from other groups, and other groups are kind of worried because, again, they're getting over. That's really all that is. And they're worried about a rebalancing. And it's not even about that. What it's really about is when there are certain people that have no fucking business speaking up for us. I'll give you a perfect example. Jennifer Lopez doing the Motown, for anybody even believe that that's conscionable, like that alone should prove that we need an ADOS thing. Because like when you get Jennifer Lopez, when Ja Rule, she did a song with Ja Rule like 15 years ago, even longer than that, when she said, but these niggas don't hear me though. And you get these ain't even black people at this point. You get these Latins that think because they from the Bronx or they from wherever, that it gives them the ability to say nigga because nigga is an urban word. No, it's not. Are you black? You're hesitating? Then what the fuck are you saying nigga for? Like seriously, it's that simple. Well, I'm not white. I don't give a fuck. You know, like, and just because you sucking black dick does not mean you can say nigga. And by the way, I don't give a damn. Look, I agree with BGS on a lot of things. I don't give a damn how BGS wants to spin it or how like them folks in Southern California want to spin it. Y'all, they should not be allowing Hispanics or Mexicans to say nigga. Period. They should take that just as white people are taking it. And the reality is, you can't say that there's no correlation between you all letting them like disrespect y'all, because it is disrespect. I don't give a fuck how many kids you got with them, and then y'all being pushed out of. I was born in Compton. Compton is more Hispanic now than it's not. You know, like let's stop fronting. Or when you see the New Yorkers, I got into it with a YouTuber on Facebook, and you know he got mad because I was talking about Cardi B, and he want to talk about I'm not from New York, I don't understand the Bronx, because I kept talking about, man, Cardi B uses terms like burnt, bitch, and roach. Well, burnt, bitch means you stupid. Man, when I think of burnt, I don't think of stupidity. I think of toast. What do you think? Or when I think of roach, what do you think as far as color? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And then Cardi B is allowed. And then when I see Cardi B, you know, they saying, oh, she's black, but at the same time, it's always Latin music that's around her. They trying to, you can't delineate her from Maria Cabello. And this dude, like, see, that's that bullshit. Anyway, go ahead.
So on the African piece, right? in terms of Pan-Africanism. So the issue with Pan-Africanism in terms of Africans is that in the 60s and 70s, before the 60s and 70s, right, or during the 60s, so to speak, it was actually a lot of reciprocity between African nations and African Americans and what have you, right?
It was more.
The pivot came when a lot of the Pan-African leaders got killed or exiled. And before that, they actually focused more on Africa because at the time, you know, it was a revolution, right? So they were a lot of countries over maybe a 10 to 30 year period were, you know, engaging in a revolution and actually getting control of their country back, getting their independence back from European nations. And so somehow in that period of getting their nations independent and a lot of the main Pan-African leaders getting exiled or straight up assassinated, the leaders that have come as of late, with the exception of a few, right? Maybe a Julius Malema, it hasn't really been much. Now, the biggest country that has engaged in Pan-Africanism outside of the United States has been Cuba. And after Cuba, it would definitely be Ghana, because a lot of people don't know Ghana actually donated, or not donated, but they gave 30,000 acres. They earmarked 30,000 acres for African Americans in the U.S., African American descendants of slaves. Yeah. They also welcomed Africans from Brazil that they actually still have a community to this day. I can't remember what date, but they had a bunch of Brazilians at a certain point in time that actually fled to Ghana, and they still have a community in Ghana to this day. And I could go on and on about Cuba. I mean, everything. Cuba offers free medical school, with free tuition, free medical school, right? And they're the only country with a lung vaccine, lung cancer vaccine. I mean, they've supplied arms to different African countries.
Yeah,
They've actually accepted, and there's some African countries that have as well. But there's a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of Black Panthers and Black people from other Black groups like the Black Panthers that actually are living in Cuba and African countries to this day in exile. Like
Assata Shakur.
Yeah, that's the most famous one. But there's
what's the guy Williams got of North Carolina? Didn't he run down there too?
I'm not sure about all of that. I do know this though. I know Ghana, not Ghana, but some Ghanaian businessmen did buy one of the failing banks in Chicago and kept that in Black hands. So my thing is, there are some good things that people are doing, but my problem is we need to give more. I'm gonna tell you, like I told Sub-Zero, when it comes to when we talk about the church stuff, I'd rather the money needs to go, even if the money 100% stays with the church. I'm not talking about delineating money with the church. The money needs to go towards churches that are actually doing the work of actually helping to empower the community, and needs to be siphoned off from the churches that own that bullshit. I don't care if they're a mega church or a small church. And the way we need to do that is come up with a method of a standardized method of having an understanding of what these churches are doing with our money, and stop saying it's going to a stairway to heaven. That's all I'm saying. I'm not even saying to take money out of the church and put it somewhere else. And it's the same thing here. I have a lot of respect for instance, Jamaican, business owners, because they do integrate a lot with the Black community as far as their businesses and don't just leach out. They're actually one of the bigger examples of the ones that don't. So this idea, again, I understand people want to get emotional and they want to be like, oh, you just looking at me because of whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, I know for the most part, y'all can't do shit about anything we do, to be honest with you, because you're on our turf. So the reality is that emotional shit needs to go by the wayside, and y'all need to start really talking clauses and addendums as far as business. Because if y'all get emotional, I'm just going to tune y'all ass out. When y'all get like that, dude, I might answer your question just so you know, for the audience, that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But for the most part, I'm going to tune y'all ass out. Because the reality is y'all don't have the political power. Y'all don't have the voting power. This is the situation I'm going to get to the non-Black immigrants, but I'm going to talk about non-American Black immigrants first. This is the situation y'all is. If y'all talk too much shit, y'all, at that point, y'all have identified yourself. So when you get like your Angela Yee's, your Roland Martins, your whoever's, y'all basically are raising your hand and we didn't see who the fuck y'all are. And
what Angela Yee say? What did she say?
Angela Yee said some shit about like this country. She said some dumb shit like this country was immigrant. Black people were not immigrants. No, Black people were immigrants. And then everybody had her own tapes.
That was Angela Rye.
Angela Rye, my bad. And then Angela Rye then had a YouTube Instagram video cussing people out, said she never said it until she played both of them back to back. And I saw it. I was like, you said it. What are you talking about? So that dumb shit. So what you're doing is you're raising your hand and you're letting us see you. You're calling yourself out. And what's going to happen is if you're somebody that's like a YouTuber or somebody like Angela Yee, then what we're going to do is, okay, who's an African-American woman or man that can basically take your place? That's what we're going to start looking at. So if it's a woman, what's another woman that matches her but has our descent? And that's going to be very difficult for you all to counteract. Because at that point, it's not, you can't make it about a man if I'm bringing up another woman on another woman. You can't do that. And it's the same thing, for example, when I talk about Paris versus like Chrissy, Chrissy, Chrissy has a Caribbean father, but she always got something to say about Black men. Okay, Paris has said some stuff every once in a while, but at the end of the day, Paris is much better about it.
Wait. Chrissy got a Caribbean dad?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yep. So my point is, when you start like really looking at you, it starts making it a lot more clear. And what's going to happen is we're going to start electing people to compete against you. There's going to be similar, but they're ADOS. So there's a choice that needs to be made. Y'all either need to stop with the fuck shit and stop playing games like we're fucking stupid, or keep doing what you're doing. And as y'all get emotional, y'all identify yourselves. And even if y'all don't get emotional, y'all get quiet. We're going to start looking at ranks, because here's the thing. We're looking at this like a trade deficit. Like, it's like, okay, who are the groups that are really fucking with us? Who are the groups that are not fucking with us? The groups that are not fucking with us, they need to be dealt with. The groups that are fucking, and when I say dealt with, what I'm talking about is we need to stop spending money with them. Like, we need to just stop spending money with them. And I'm not even necessarily talking about non-American blacks. I'm talking, because really more of that is with your non-black immigrants. Like for instance, I keep saying this and people keep talking about me goofy. I'll give you two quick examples. We all know that black women spend a hell of a lot of money on hair with non-black people. Well, they need to start spending that money with black women. But black men, why aren't you spending with other black women? There is no excuse a black woman has come up with this legit as to why that is, because you basically box them in a corner. Because at that point, hell, I'd rather give them to non-American black immigrants than give it to Asians. At least non-American black immigrants ain't gonna whoop your ass. So, I mean, shit, you know, so our point is just like recycling. You start with a little bit and then you do more and do more and do more. And that's what we need to start doing. But what you have to understand is so many people have so much to lose. White people would not really be affected by black people practicing group economics. Not really. But so many non-white groups have so much to lose. They're literally shitting in their pants. So this is where all this hyper emotionalism, talk about we're jealous, we're this is coming out. Because they don't know how to respond, because they've been getting over. And now you got people like Yvette Carnell and Tone versus like an O'Shea and me and Tariq that are like all kind of on the same page with general things. And that's what's making people frightened, because generally these are people that wouldn't agree on shit. Anyway. Y'all any extra thoughts? Because I will probably do this for another 30 minutes and then.
I think there are some people. I think this ADOS is a great start. I think it's something that really. I'm just happy to see it. I'm glad I'm alive to see it. I'm glad it happened during my lifetime where we actually decided to get out of this rut that we've been in and start. Once you do that, once you put us in a block like that, I think that's going to really save us a lot of headache with a lot of shit that we go through in this country. Because now we can start really coming at some real issues and not just being nebulous and getting siphoned off by LGBT and midgets and humpbacks and everybody.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna get there. Because they're gonna get because and it's not even about anybody getting there. It's about people understanding you wouldn't have what you have if we didn't do what we did. And now everybody is like so focused. Like for instance, and one Titan, shout out to him. He talked about that was Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro ain't great, but Fidel Castro has some ADOS bona fides. The reality is white Cubans say he's evil, but the reality is if you're a black Cuban, Fidel, you know, he all right, but the reality, he's a communist, which so are the Chinese, and we fuck with them. So you can no longer tell me that, well, you're communist. I mean, shit, Russia, look, we got a president that might have ties to Russia. Like you can no longer use those strike words, those little commie words. Now that stuff is so obvious now that, people will fuck with people anyway. You can no longer use that. So
but you got a lot of. I think one of the things this will also help is it's really gonna hurt a lot of these celebrities too, because guys like I know this is blasphemous to a lot of people.
Yeah,
Killer Mike. Some of the stuff Killer Mike said, Killer Mike got some fuck shit mixed in with that. He talks very good, says a lot of good black things. Then he'll jump over into the LGBT, jump over into his.
Right.
He jumps over into these cultures. Him, Nick Cannon is another one. Like that shit gonna have to stop. Like we gotta. That's something that I think really hurts us more so than helps us, because these guys masquerade as conscious and down with the struggle, and you mixing that shit in with the white woman represents success. Like I'll never say that shit.
You absolutely, you're absolutely right. And these people, and you got them, and most of these people are cowards. You know, I hate to say it like that, but I mean, once you start affecting their money, they'll say whatever you want them to say. Like I'll say this: Nick Cannon will fall on the sword on some things. Like he'll fall on the sword on being pro-life, and I respect him for that. But when it comes to like that white woman stuff, like you know what, I even let him. Like I guess he'll have to have that for the time being. With Killer Mike's problem is I say, look, man, I ain't trying to tell you what to say, but just stick to buying black. Like, make that your issue and say fuck everything else. Don't even put Bernie Sanders on the hook for reparations. Tell him what are you gonna do, anything that has to do with black people. It don't even gotta be reparations. Now, if he can't say nothing, then that's a problem. And you supporting him is a problem.
That's the thing. He didn't make promise. He said no reparations, and Killer Mike, him, Cornel West, they was chanting this, they loved him. And and
that's a problem. And that's a problem. And I'm gonna tell it. I would say that's an issue, because the thing is, what are you benefiting from supporting him? Now, I can see benefiting individually with how he might benefit, but like, then you gonna fuck up your shit for you, because people now are gonna start looking at you funny style. See, now these people it used to be people want to just talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce, talk about they being pseudo justice warriors. But when you actually look at Jay-Z and Beyonce actually do the least fuck shit when it comes to this type of stuff. Like, there's very few things that Jay-Z really openly says is absolute fuck shit, versus he tries to stay in his lane pretty well. And that's what these celebrities need to do. But yeah, you're right. It is going to start fucking them up, because they're going to have to start being quiet. But even before them, when it comes to
I know this is blasphemous. It's going to probably start an argument, but shit, Colin Kaepernick, just go to his website. Look at all that shit he support.
It is what it
is. None of that shit got nothing to do with us. None of it. All LGBT, Hispanics, immigrants, illegal immigrants, feminism. This thing ain't. I'm like, do you know what you support?
Like, I already know what it is. What it is pretty much he was a fish out of water, and then they threw him in his fucking pond. I'm not making no excuses for it, but I know what it is. And again, we have to build our own market so we can start funding our people to represent us. O'Shea says this all the time. He's absolutely right. You know, a lot of times we create these situations in a way because we don't have people that they can just lean on us. You know, Tariq Nasheed can talk the shit he talk because Tariq Nasheed makes money primarily off of black people. And people want to call him a hustler. That's damn smart. You know where his loyalty is at the end of the day. You know, people say, oh, he's with a woman that's half Jewish. Well, we know he gets his money from brothers and women. So Americans, we know that. So we know he's going to be loyal because that's where his money is, if nothing else. I can trust that. Same thing with Jason Black. I can trust that. A lot of these other groups, you can't say that. So again, what this ADOS thing is doing is it's creating a market, kind of a market where people are kind of looking at the same things. And now we can build a lot of interesting things off of that. And again, I have no problem working with people. I talk about intercultural dating as well, but I believe in doing things from a position of strength. And people want to talk about, I'm taking something away from you. Man, I'm not taking something away from you that's not yours to begin with. You should have dealt with it for what you got over as long as you got over. And again, I haven't seen any logical argument. The arguments that I'm getting is, well, I don't like to be called a descendant slave, or you're just jealous, or you're never going to get reparations. Okay, fuck reparations for a second. I'm just talking about black people spending money with other black people. That's all I'm talking about doing. I'm talking about black women buying, if they go and buy hair, spend it with other black women.
Why can't we? I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Like, we talked about this earlier today about people saying shit will never happen. I think, to me,
that's another argument too.
Yeah, like it'll never happen. To me, I think when you talk about reparations, we have the best case for reparations. We had a case better than, dare I say, the Jews. We really do.
Like, I'm gonna keep it real with you, but like the reason why I keep like kind of jumping on that is because if even me responding, if I this is why I said that has to be a different conversation, because people will always lean on the reparations because they can't really talk about the group economic argument other than saying it's a pipe dream, like what Yvette Carter. So you're saying black people, so you won't say going to school, getting a good job, getting a good education is a pipe dream, even though you go into like $100K in debt for a job that mainly a white person is going to have to give you if you get it for the most part. But you're going to tell me that me wanting to start a business is a pipe dream. And what happens is that puts people on the spot, because at that point you start to reveal what you always say, which is their worldview or lack thereof a worldview. So they will sit to the reparations because it's easy to say that that's a pipe dream and then make you look stupid. So I say, I'm not even going to put the ball in your court. We don't have to talk about reparations. That's not the right now argument. The right now argument is group economics. Why are we spending money with Latinos and paying for them to gentrify us? Why are we're not getting any reciprocity? That's what I think Jesse said. There is no reciprocity. That's what we're saying. We're basically taking all these people and asking, is there reciprocity with you? Does your agenda line up with what we're talking about? It's either yes or no. And at the end, and they don't want to say no, so they do what Cory Booker did, which they sound like a fucking idiot. They do what Kamala Harris did, which they sound like a fucking idiot. They would never go in any other group and do that because they're so fucking dumb. They don't even have counterpoints to these points because they've never even thought it was conscionable that these questions would ever be asked, which tells you this is like somebody that cheats on you all the time. And then they've been cheating on you for years. This is like you being a cuckold, literally. Like this is like you being a white man and you done filmed like your wife fucking a black man, and then you want to have a problem with it like 10 years into this. She looking at you like, what the fuck? That's pretty much how they looking at us. That's actually a good analogy, I think.
And, the issue also, you have a lot of these immigrants that are in position of power or in very visible positions that are trying to speak for black people and use black people as votes, but they're not representing our best interests, right? And so you look at, even though Cory Booker, I believe he's actually in ADOS, right? He will not even acknowledge the idea of a black.
He has a mulatto problem. That's his problem. He's in the Boule class. That's where he starts fucking up. And so there's other angles of it.
Can I say something about that Boule stuff? To be honest with you, like that's a multifaceted group. Like when we say Boule, it's multifaceted. I do think a lot of them have been gatekeepers, but and MOT talks about the best and brightest and stuff, the talented 10th. I think if we do start making any sort of transformative changes in our community, we will have to involve certain people. I just think there needs, I don't know, we really need some sort of police system or something to keep them in line. But you do need black, people that are.
I'm not saying we don't, but what I'm just saying with Cory Booker is it's very clear. He was look, Cory Booker is a guy that's been the mayor in New York, that was elected the senator mainly with black people doing it, and they're asking him about black agenda. He ain't got nothing to say. And then when you start looking at his background and realizing that this dude basically, went to stand, this dude is like white privilege, basically. It's like, okay, so that's when. So it's not even about me saying he's you can be Boule, and then I know some of these people, and then I ask you, okay, what you about, and then let's stand on what they say they're about. But this is me giving you the reason why he's on that. Like, so I get what you're. But I wanted to say something that Truth As I Know It just said. Truth As I Know It said that he said that reparations is group economics. Yes and no. Yes and no. One of the things that group economics can happen is reparations, but I want to separate reparations from group economics. So those are two completely different things. You can have group economics without reparations. You can't really have reparations without group economics. So the problem is people want to merge that argument. It's like if I'm telling you that you need to look at the money that you make per month, per year, and increase the percentage of that money that you spend with black people. You don't need reparations to fucking do that. And that's my point. That's like me saying, in order for you to deal with global warming, okay, if the goal is to deal with climate change, but you can't recycle unless you get climate change. That's literally what you're telling. That's literally what people are saying. Like, well, I can't recycle because climate change. We need to fix climate change before I can fucking recycle. You're arguing the steps versus the end goal. We need to take that money that we spend as a people per year and consolidate that money as much as fucking possible. And a lot of these offshoot groups that benefit, I'm not take white people off the table because you will never be able to practice e-commerce in this country without some white hands involved. But groups like like, the groups we talked about, the ones that are not contributing to helping what we need to get done. This is no different than like if I want to do business with Hispanics and then Hispanics want me to speak Spanish because in another country, and I'm like, I'm not speaking Spanish. Like this is common sense if you put yourself in a situation in another group. But when it's us, again, because we're like cuckolds, we're not allowed. A cuckold is not allowed to have an opinion. You just watch as I get this organism by this black dude. That's pretty much the mentality that a lot of these groups have with us.
Right.
And how do you? And I got a question for you. How does a cuckold deal with that situation? You just leave. You just take your shit, take the hits that you take. Like if you lose like 70% or half, you just take half and then see if she'll find another sucker. Just like how all the money we've lost because we've gave money to other people and not got anything back.
Are you guys familiar with Maggie Anderson, who tried to go a full year and do just black businesses?
Yeah, I read that book, my Black Business, 1 year or something like that. I read her book. I actually seen her speak down here in New Orleans. But in regards to the whole Boule thing, right? My issue with the Boule, right? Because we do need a black elite, right? Any society that you live in, the masses are controlled or they're directed by some type of elite, because it's really the only way to actually direct a group of people once it gets to a certain population size. You know what I'm saying? The issue I have with the Boule is that they essentially half-ass the empowerment of black people, right? So you do have, some Boulets that I know personally, right, down here in New Orleans, that donate to black HBCUs, black colleges, right? That do certain things for black people in terms of charity. You have Bill Cosby that donated probably the largest donations to HBCUs ever. You have Oprah Winfrey that creates schools in Africa that, she secretly for years, she didn't reveal this until like the last episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show, that she was secretly paying tuition for Morehouse students and stuff like that. So you do have these type of gestures by
Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner does that too.
Yeah, right. I get. Go ahead.
Gestures, but in terms of when I say half-assing it, it's like, where are the gestures to do things that are going to be most effective in helping Black America, right? So where, instead of donating millions of dollars toward tuition so that, nothing against those guys that's going to college, but, these guys going to college, you're paying their tuition, and they're going to have a career that's going to, and we don't know what's going to happen to them after that. But instead of doing it,
they're going to work in white organizations and get jobs.
Right. But what I'm saying is, let me just wrap up real quick on this point. Instead of directing the money towards that, there are more effective things that these Black elites can, come together and actually try to do. Now, would they receive opposition? Absolutely. I mean, we saw what happened to Rockefeller, your boy Jay Prince out of Houston, and the Murder Inc. crew, when they tried to start their own black distribution. We already saw the fallout from that. You know what I'm saying? And they never found nothing on them, according to them. They never found anything illegal, but they still lost a lot of business. But
that's why I'm not a fan. That's why I'm not a 50 Cent fan, because he put the government on Murder Inc.
Yeah, and number one, those folks aren't Boule, but I will say,
they're not Boule, but they still Black elite as far as I'm concerned.
And that's what I'm piggyback on. We need a new Black elite. That's really what it is. Like, no, I'm not arguing against a talented 10th. We need a new one.
But they're quiet. They're quiet. The ones that are really doing stuff are really, really quiet. The ones
I get all of that. I'm not talking about them. Like, everybody, like families and stuff are individual families. I'm talking about group. We need new management. This ain't about, I'm not talking about getting rid of baby without the bathwater. Just like with our politicians. just like when I say we need new politicians, that don't mean 100% of every last one need to go. What that means is this is what the Tea Party did. This is what the fucking agenda is. What the fuck are you on? If you do like Jeb Bush and play that half-ass shit, you out. If you're not on what we on, you out. To the point where we're not even like playing no games. On now, what have you done? Like, and I'm not saying you got to shout it out to the mountaintop, but there's certain people that can find out what has been done. I know what Dr. Claude has tried to do, because people argue he's in that class to a certain extent. I'm not saying it, but there needs to be a new group. Like, for instance, if you look at somebody like a Robert Smith, or you look at somebody like a Don Peoples, they can actually say, this is what I've done. I build multi-million, like $100 million projects, and I have these contracts I give to Black people that they get every time I get a contract, y'all get contracts. So you can talk about this white woman all you want. Oh, by the way, back in the day, I raised money for Coleman Young, one of the mayors that did some real shit for Black people in DC. So, you see what I'm saying? So he can be like, I got my receipts. Same thing with Robert Smith. I got my receipts.
I watched the PBS documentary on what's your boy name from out of Maryland? Reginald Lewis. Lewis.
Oh yeah, that's the dude.
Black billionaire.
Yeah,
right?
So
did y'all see that documentary?
Yeah, so I'm not.
Yeah, because his wife took all his money, and she's the wealthiest. Like, she's helped the Philippine people in this country. All his money has basically empowered all the Philippines in this country.
And real talk, and here's the funny thing about that. See, if we would see, and I get what you talk about people is quiet, and I understand the necessity of being quiet. But we know that that's not the majority of people doing it. That's at best, like 20% of them at best. Now, as far as Reginald Lewis, where the mistake that Reginald Lewis made is he should have did what a lot of white people do. And I'll give you a perfect example. Ray Kroc and his wife create a foundation for the Boys and Girls Club, in which they had to create like Boys and Girls Clubs in certain zones. And basically I think before she died, she was able to get him to create a foundation with a lie as well. That's what Reginald Lewis should have did. Like, real talk. She should like this. And see, that's
I know that Reginald's wife has donated to Black causes. The only thing is I don't know, like, what is the scoreboard in terms of how much she contributed to Philippines.
Erica Williams broke that down. She broke it down. She said that lady she took most of that money was diverted into the Philippines in America.
Okay, and I'll say this too, right? One thing is Reginald Lewis' wife actually comes from a wealthy family. So that's one. Number two is Reginald Lewis, while he was alive, he actually did donate a lot to Black causes. Now, I read his book years ago. But I watched a documentary recently, and I didn't know that he actually donated a significant amount of money to Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign back in the day, right? And this is before we really knew all the foul shit, that Jesse Jackson did.
And one of the values of somebody like a Jesse Jackson, but with minus the foul shit, is they can get on. If they got money behind them, they can get. I mean, George Soros does it all the time, where he funds whole movement. They can get the questions answered, the answer. Meaning, because it's not gonna be just votes. It's gonna be money that has to actually get people there. Like when you look at the primary, for example, South Carolina is gonna be 62% Democrat. Is Black as far as who's voting in that primary. So they will have to answer questions at that primary point, and that's the third primary. So that's gonna be important. So they're not gonna be able to dodge those bullets. See, these are things. So I get nobody's arguing, because I understand a lot of people will sit there and they'll be on the Pookie and Ray Ray shit versus the rich Black people shit or the outlier Black man shit. That's not what I'm on. But what I am saying is we need new management. We need this is what I mean. What I mean is we need people that are millionaires and multi-millionaires that they say I have $1 trillion market, aka Black people, a year. I need to basically get invested in that market and become a power broker in that market, and how do I be dependent on that market? Rather than say what a lot of Black folks do is they are in the infrastructure as it is now, and what they're doing is they are invested in stuff as it is. So a lot of them are going to be on, they're going to do what I call passive aggressive running interference. They will give money here and there, but they're never going to do something that's really, really going to make a big deal as far as competition. Now, what I would tell folks like that is this: you don't have to do anything that runs in. Here's the funny thing about it: you don't have to do a damn thing that runs interference against white folks. If you're afraid to do that, then fine, don't do it. What I'm asking you is, what I would ask y'all behind the scenes is, if this was me like in a cigar room, because I don't smoke cigars, I'd be coughing, but I'd be like, look, this is what I need y'all to do. I need y'all to help us basically collapse this money with every other group. If you want to take white people off the table, we'll table that for now. But when it comes to, like, for instance, if I say, okay, I got somebody that wants to start something like Panda Express, they want to do a hibachi style, and we basically want to knock out every Chinese restaurant as far as take away the black market out of every Chinese restaurant in the major cities, the top 10 major cities where black people are. We could call it, I don't care what name we call it. Don't even got to make it sound black, to be honest with you. My point is, can you give me the money to do that? You know, we'll make it a black female CEO, whatever the fuck you want to do it. But can we do, you see what I'm saying? That does nothing to white folks. And white folks should not be afraid at all of that, even the powers that be. Because no, you see what I'm, that's the type of stuff I want. Or maybe we start empowering a couple of Afro-Latinos in here, and they start opening up Latin restaurants rather than just Latins opening up. I'm
gonna tell you something. I really do believe this. I really believe that. I think a lot of white Americans would fuck with this because they sick of these immigrants and all this shit. I think it's not that they love us. They don't. They hate our ass. No, it gives them. But they would rather. They like. They looking at it like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. That's how they look at us. They looking at us like, I'd rather see the niggers. Yeah, they be like, I'd rather see the niggers get on than some, Jorge or whoever coming over here. They don't like, so that, I think the political climate is such that will be a reverse ally. It'll be an ally, but it'll be kind of like in a, like as a byproduct. I think that's what's happening. And you see it with Ann Coulter and other conservatives will say that. You see it even with, dare I say, even Richard Spencer can be used in that regard. I think that's something that I think all this stuff we're talking about blacks aggregating their power, doing certain things, it really will disenfranchise, but it will just take the power away from a lot of these other movements. It really will. Like you talked about the Democrats having black people, they need us. Like they can't go without our vote. They need our ass. So it will really change a lot of shit, and I think they'll be for it. I don't think we need them, but I'm just saying I think that's something that will happen.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. And that would give a lot of political cover. That would shake things up. And this is why, like, ABL was talking about, like, again, this is why I keep saying he's pro-white, because it's like there is no reason why you should have a problem with this, because this is literally like something that's only going to make it more possible for Donald Trump to get elected and Republicans to maybe get back the House. But I don't understand why you as a political animal would have any problem with it, but even still, that bothers him. Like, and that's how I already know what he's on. And so my point is, I am not, look, I talk about intercultural dating all the time, and my boss is from Zimbabwe. I don't have a problem with immigrants. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not gonna be fucking telling y'all if I do or I don't, because the reality is I don't got what is understood doesn't need to be explained. So if that's something that people want to try to tag me in, I'm not asking y'all for shit, no way. So what the fuck is somebody gonna do to me if I get this reputation that I don't like immigrants? There ain't nothing you can do. So people can say that all they want to and just ignore what the fuck it is. And to a certain extent, I got to kind of angle myself with sisters a little bit. I can't be tagged as a sister hater. But when it comes to immigrants, there's nothing that I'm getting from y'all. And that's the thing y'all got to understand. We're not getting anything like that. And so why the fuck, like most people before have just been, all we're really saying is immigration is not a black issue. But now that people want to make us have the issue, okay, let's look at the issue. And then we start to realize it's a net negative. Now everybody want to get mad. Like everybody want to get mad because they're like, we're actually looking at it and saying, not only is it not our issue, actually, we could probably get a couple of things done by actually eliminating this problem.
Well, even the girl from the girl that plays Molly on Insecure, she actually was talking and she was like, when you see African immigrant. Jesus said, when you see African immigrants and they come to this country and they're doctors and lawyers, nobody helped them. Nobody gave them anything. And I think that's just blatant disrespect.
It is. It's a lie. It's a lie.
To stand on the shoulders of the people, my dead ancestors, and tell us that they didn't contribute to you coming over here with all your blackness and being able to do whatever it is you do. It's just slapping and pissing on me. And when she got on the Breakfast Club, she tried to walk that shit back a little bit. No, we don't hate you guys. We don't, it's just, we hate everybody. Don't hand me that shit. Don't hand me that.
No,
nobody in this country should hate. Not even white people should hate black people.
Well,
white people should look at us and be like, nobody has a reason to hate us, to be honest with you.
This is what these people are saying at their dinner tables. This is what they're like. What she said, that's what she's being told. That's what she grew up with. And the reality is, I mean, with all the assets Nigeria has, then, okay, why don't you do that in Nigeria? Like, I'm not, and when I say that, I'm not even saying that you got to go back to Nigeria. You don't really see, I know you don't really see them kind of going back and forth like that. You don't really see that. What you see is they escaping and then they staying out. That's what you see. They're trying to, they like, that's why Nigeria is a brain drain. This is why Nigeria even cuts off people's ability to even come to the United States, because it's too much of a damn brain drain. And Nigeria owns more of their shit than anybody as far as black folks, as far as a country. So they have that stuff they can say. But this thing about y'all want to talk about y'all work hard. What y'all are saying is y'all come into a system that y'all did not build up. That black people, they could not exist without African Americans, without ADOS. This system that you became, this does not exist without us. And what happens is because what I would tell her, what I would say to her is this. The one thing y'all don't understand about colonialization and what we've gone through is our culture has been under attack since we got here. You all have never had to do that because white folks built cities and extracted resources and brought it back to Europe. So they never had to like destroy you from the bottom up because they didn't have to worry about y'all really following like that. They could compartmentalize y'all. The white people here did not have that luxury. We were here and they couldn't get rid of us, and they tried. Even when they tried for us to go back to Liberia, some of us did, or most of us didn't. So they had to use different tools. See, a woman that says that is this is a woman that does not understand slavery, Jim Crow. She understands slavery. If I told you, if I were to go in there and then take Legos and burn that bitch down to the ground and take some, or do what we did to Baghdad, and then tell you ain't got shit, you would feel some type of way about that, would you not? Of course you would say, yeah. Well, basically that shit happened to us on multiple of our best cities. So this is not slavery. To everybody, this is why I don't even like the fact they talk about slavery and Black History Month, because again, we have 4 crimes against humanity: slavery, Jim Crow, which is economic terrorism. We have the crack era, and we have mass incarceration. And most of these countries are as large as maybe like Texas. So we've had a nationwide like epidemic that was brought here. See, if you did that to another country, that would be considered a declaration of war.
Would you consider Jim Crow in the sense that had we gotten equal protection under the law and the government not been partial towards whites? Apart from that, I really didn't have a problem with private organizations not wanting to take black dollars. I didn't have a problem with that at all, because you create a vacuum where some black person failed.
Well, that's what
Claude Anderson talked about. That's what Claude Anderson talks about.
And that's why integration even happened in the first place, because eventually it's either you integrate under a situation where they control it, and this is like more the Plutarch's thinking versus the white people in the lower classes that just didn't like it, or what's going to happen is Black people will be able to do business on a global level, and then it's going to be harder. When you look at things like the Negro Baseball League, you don't have the MLB without the Negro Baseball League. They had to knock out the Negro Baseball League in order for MLB to have a monopoly. Same thing with a lot of your other groups. I mean, when you look at your sports, when you look at a lot of even things that we control now, in order for they had to integrate. That wasn't really a choice. The Plutarchs wanted that money. And they knew that stuff would be built up again. Like, think about it. The $1 trillion.
I agree. I mean, if the NBA was black owned, it would be. Think about it. Think about if they hadn't integrated and all the black players were in the NBA had their own league, or with the baseball, like we don't play baseball anymore, but if it was all black, what would that look like? That's why they got the Hispanics. They got the Hispanics because they could get the genetics without us being vocal and without us being who we are. And so that's why they do it. That's what they're doing in Hollywood right now. They're getting rid of people that they can't control, and they're bringing in foreigners, like that show called Snowfall. That guy's British, but this guy had to get Dub C from W's whatever his name is to teach him English because he can't teach him our accent.
Yeah, but they can't do that if we start paying attention to it, then the money's gonna dissipate. So it's not gonna be like there's certain people that's gonna get a pass, like Idris Elba, because Idris Elba's cool. But even to a certain extent, they've like diluted his career because they don't want him to become beyond what they can control. It all comes back.
They don't want another Will Smith. And Idris Elba has been vocal a few times on some things, so they kind of really don't want. They don't want that type of situation where Will started saying a few things and they spanked him a little bit. Like when he started, his wife, when she said what she said, Jada said what she said, that kind of spanked him. That's why right now they consider, a lot of these white people subconsciously don't even, I think some of them know it. They say Suicide Squad was a terrible movie. I was like, Suicide Squad outperformed anything that it was expected. It's the highest grossing movie in August, I think.
Oh, yeah. And
they thought about that movie was whack.
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to see what Margot Robbie does without Will Smith. And I don't think that's going to do well because they letting her do too much. And like they really are. And that they realize that Will Smith still got some juice. And if Will Smith was, see, again, because we don't have like a vibrant Black Hollywood that can operate pseudo independently or interdependently from Hollywood, then what happens is they don't have a choice. And because they don't have a choice, they don't have power. Like when
all these black actors told Nate Parker, don't do Birth of a Nation. It doesn't have a white savior. He said that in the interview on Breakfast Club. I was like, damn. That just goes to show you how the black actors understand the ebb and flow of Hollywood, but they're scared to say it. Samuel L. Jackson said something a few years ago about the guy from Get Out. He said a black guy could have played that role. They didn't have to go over to Europe to get. And did you see that Grapevine? I despise their ass. They went over to Europe, and they went over to London, and they were talking to all these people, these black people from London. They was talking mad shit about us. Yeah. Mad shit.
But they're over here with our and see, that's what I'm saying. Like people want to act like they want to get all emotional. I understand that. I understand that when you've been getting over, it's like when you so used to getting your way. It's like, remember what I said. You cannot fix a spoiled child in the same environment by which they were spoiled. You can't, because they're so used to being spoiled that they gonna really get mad that you actually are doing some shit. So at the end of the day, man, like at the end of the day with Hollywood, it's very simple. The sandbox is controlled by, we know the groups that control, the white subgroups that control Hollywood. And because there is no alternative sandbox, like this is why Asians are able to make headway, because Asians at the end of the day got the Chinese market. So white people really are begrudgingly doing business with them because that's because they can phase them out. They can turn that market off. And a lot of these movies are only hitting $1 billion because of the Chinese market. So as a result, they got to deal with them. And that's why you're starting to see a lot of them make more inroads. With us, because we don't have, Africa is not developed at that point yet. We don't have that ability. And because Chinese are so united, because the Han control everything and dominate everything, and they're the majority ethnic group, then that stuff is accelerated. So with us, we don't have an alternative. So a lot of these dudes, they don't want to leave that money alone, or they don't want to learn. It's the same thing in the music industry too. They want that 360 deal because somebody's gonna take it. So at the end of the day, this is not about being mad. All this is about doing is forensic accounting, and then it's what they say. They call it a shakeup. They call it a corporate restructuring. That's what this is. And this will be a 2 or 3 year thing. I'm excited for it. I'm mainly going to be focused on the economic parts of it. I'm going to be like, one of the reasons I'm glad you got up on here, Sub-Zero, is because you actually be getting people work. Like as far as how to get certain jobs, how to get certain opportunities. These are not necessarily entrepreneurial opportunities. These are opportunities that are there. And at the end of the day, that has to be a part of it. This thing, the politics, it has to be a part of it too.
No, I agree, because one of the reasons I think you should, like, if you black and you trying to go borrow some money from a bank and you don't got no tax returns, or your check stub is showing that you make $400 a week, you're not gonna be able to borrow no money. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? But if you're making $1,500 a week, you can borrow money. This is something, I mean, of course, if you got some discipline, but I mean, you get what I'm saying? You can save up $20,000-$30,000 in a year. You really can, and live good.
Exactly. Oh, and to speak real quickly on that 50,000 ain't no money. Like, okay, understand something. Quality of life has 4 components. It's health, wealth, and great relationships, and time freedom. Time freedom is, wealth is more associated with time freedom, because that's how much you're moved without you actually doing work, versus money is basically the income. Too many black people think in income and don't think in money. They've never filed a 1099. They've only filed W-2, so they don't even understand that there's a lot of things that you use every day that can be tax deductible. Technically, you know, I can deduct my cell phone bill, I can deduct my internet, I can actually deduct the room where I live, because I can use that as an office. I can deduct a lot of it, but they don't think in that, because they've never been taught it. It's something that this is where understanding what the Prussian school system is and what you haven't been told. We all know, we've all had that saying, how am I going to use this in life? We weren't taught about credit. We weren't taught about budgeting. There's a reason you weren't taught about this shit. You weren't given a mock class of what it's like to actually buy a house. There is a reason you were not taught this shit, because it's designed to keep you in the same place. And others that know that knowledge can pass that knowledge down outside of the main group. So you can be just spending your fucking money while everybody else is actually investing. What happens with a lot of your non-black immigrants is because they didn't have a lot, they were not corrupted by this consumeristic system. So they learn, and then on top of that, they get benefits on being a triple minority. So again, you know, when women like that say that, you know, like when she said on, you got Issa Rae and you got her. Number one, that's a show that's being marketed to black women, but it's very few African American women on that fucking show. You see, shit like this is like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm not supporting that. ADOS, you know. But motherfuckers should be scared to say any dumb shit. Because it's like, think of how bold you gotta be when you gotta, your 95% of your market is black ADOS Americans, is ADOS, and you saying some stupid shit like that, and you're not even thinking. She would never, ever
they're telling black women they don't need to be with black men. Get you an Asian man, we're more compatible. And oh shit, then she got an Asian guy on the show. She dating that. Her friend Molly, I think it was Molly or one of them, was dating an Asian.
Even still, like, they would never think like that when it comes to white. They would never even consciously say that. It just tells you how bold it is with it. And that's why you're going to hear a lot of crying. You're going to hear a lot of, well, what about you? Yeah, I don't give a fuck about none of that. Because what it comes down to is what you can do and what you can't do and what you will do and what you won't do. And my thing, and I said this on that, when I had that response hangout, is this: what the fuck you going to do about it? Because in order to do something to us, you got to take something away. And the reality is the non-American black immigrants that really fuck with us ain't got nothing to worry about. The ones that are getting over, the ones that actually, they can actually say stuff that they're giving and taking, they have nothing to worry about. The ones that are playing games, they all hit dogs are hollering and they howling because they already know if this shit gets bad, you know, white people are just going to replace them. They say, okay, we're going to have to get some elite descendants of slaves to talk this stupid. They don't have to get niggas like ABL. Hell, this create opportunity for niggas like ABL. Because, okay, they got to at least be a descendant here because they starting to ask that damn question. So, sorry, we're going to get rid of y'all. As far, and I'm not even talking about sending them, deport them. I'm talking about get rid of them from these, like, strategic positions. Once that stuff starts drying up, it starts drying up. And that's why they feel
I think even when ABL comes on shows, he comes with a defensive posture. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that. You can come on the show. And we had those Sunday Rumbles. He can
I call it a running interference posture. But
yeah, like he comes in and it's like, if I say up, you say down. I say left, you say right. I'm like, come on, man. Like, do you really want black empowerment? You tell black people to pull themselves up out of their own bootstraps. We start saying we're going to organize. You was up there telling them it ain't even about reparations. What about this? What about that? And you was
Okay,
just running crazy shit.
Yeah, group economics is pulling itself up by the bootstraps. So, but he has a problem with that too, and that's all I need to know about him. I mean, that's a smoke screen. And like I said, I got that from a black woman. I got that from April Mason. What is understood doesn't need to be explained, and then that's at least where I heard that from. And again, you know, we remember I said 60% of us ain't gonna make it. We need to focus on the 40%, and we'll be able to gravitational pull a big portion of 60% once we get our shit together. That's what it's about. So anyway, I want y'all to have y'all last words. That way we can end this at a cool 3 hours. You know, I appreciate y'all. 66 there, 57 likes. You know, we got a couple of dislikes. It's cool for them haters. But anyway, appreciate y'all listening. You know, if y'all throw something in the Allen Anderson, you know, Foundation, if y'all want to do that, you know, I gotta throw that out there. But anyway, all y'all give us the last words of Zero, and then Jesse, if you're still here, I didn't even look.
I'm excited about this time. I think it's a great time to be alive and be black in this country. I think as far as I'm excited about our future, I'm optimistic because for the first time I can really say that I never could say that when black people was talking that country shit. I never could because you can talk countries, but most of the time, most countries brothers I know don't do shit but talk. So I'm starting to see some actionable steps being taken by people, and it has nothing to do with religion. It's all about just political strategy and intelligence and just moving forward. I think this is the best thing we need. I think we have to have this for the future. I'm excited about it. My name is Sub-Zero3639. Come subscribe to my channel. I teach black people how to make 85, 90,000. I placed about 4 students so far. I got 2 of them right now out here interviewing, using me as a reference. They got interviews this week, and hopefully they'll ace their interview and get jobs. And I got one brother that I'm literally gonna help move if it comes to it to Atlanta. I told him I put the money up, you pay me back. Because it's all about helping people. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we're here for. This is what it's about.
Yeah, I'm spanning Sub-Zero's thing. I see he's 5 people from 7,000. Let's get him at 7,000. Shout out to MOT. MOT, like was being said. Appreciate that. So y'all get him. There's no reason this dude should not have 7,000 in the next 2 minutes. Did y'all see that? Y'all should see that. So
yeah, it's in there.
Anyway,
it's in there.
All right, and Jesse, what you got to say?
Yeah, man, I agree. It's a beautiful thing to see black people finally getting on code with this African descendant of slave hashtag and determination. I just hope that it actually or eventually translates into economic empowerment, group economics, just being able to form as a group and to use teamwork as, you know, black people and black men specifically in general, right? So, you know, that's my hopes. You know, reparations, definitely. Let's go for it, and let's keep trying to build these businesses and get into this economic game, because that's going to be the foundation, as the brother Dr. Claude Anderson always says. The economics is the bottom floor for black empowerment and powernomics. So let's get on it. And I'm gonna actually, you know, I have a channel as well. I'll go ahead and actually message my channel.
Yeah, and I'll put it in the comment section. I'll start putting it in the comment section. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, I'm about to spam your stuff too while I give my last speech, because I did want to do that. Because, you know, one thing I will give y'all a lot of credit, man. You know, because Super Triz has gotten his numbers up. He's right under 1,000. I know AM1 has gotten his numbers up. So this is Jesse, and yeah, man, it's absolutely good, man. You know, even though 1,000, the thing is, we're doing good numbers because you see certain. And I'm not even trying to play nobody. I'm just saying, you know, it really means a lot when I can. I got 1,500, but I can get 60 of y'all on here, you know, after maybe 30 minutes or something at any given time. But there's a lot of people where they can't get 2. you know, they get 2 or 3, and I'm not even trying to play nobody. I just know how it is, and I give, you know, BGS credit for that, because a lot of y'all ported over here from them, but a lot of y'all ported here, one of y'all recent ones ported over here from O'Shea as well, and some of y'all have found me like around the way with different parts of me talking, but I appreciate that, because time, you know, time is money. It really is. And so as far as this topic, let me keep this all the way 100. I'm one of the most multicultural person you'll meet, but understand that you have to have a strong, nobody will respect you if you don't respect yourself. You know what? If we can, well, just type in Jessieville, it'll come up. Let me see. They talk about the shit ain't working. Like, I mean, shit, the shit can't. Oh, no, I think it brought back. Okay, my bad. I think it brought you back to the channel. I'll put it in the comment section. But this is what I'll say. At the end of the day, nobody's going to respect you unless you respect yourself. Nobody, part of respecting yourself is setting proper boundaries. And that's really all it is. That's really all this is. And once you respect yourself at the collective level, and you start understanding, look, like, you know, and you start looking at, you start easily seeing people that don't respect you, or people that's doing the slick shit and disrespecting you. The fact that people are saying what they're saying and nobody's having any legitimate like argument, that should tell you everything. That should tell you everything about, like, yeah, I got it, Jesse. I'm gonna put it in there. All right, I'm gonna put the new link in there. That should tell you everything, because they don't. It's like if you ask somebody, you know, when your mom or your parents ask you, why didn't you clean your room, or why didn't you do this, and then you ain't got no reason, because she got you. It's either you did it, you didn't. Doesn't matter. That's what this is, and this isn't about being angry at anybody. This is about really, again, doing forensic accounting and getting what is owed. And people are going to be talking about, like, we spend, this is what y'all need to understand. What I just said is about self-respect, but also we spend money blindly with these groups. We do not like, when you see like sisters sometimes say, I'm going to cancel people. Who have we canceled as a group? Nobody. We've never really canceled anybody. We go into stores, we spend money, and we get disrespected even spending money with people. That's how used to us they are getting our money. You see what I'm saying? That's what you really got to think about. You know, when you look at sisters, and you know, we get on sisters for going into barbershops and stuff like that, or hair shops of Asians getting their ass beat, because at the end of the day, it's like, why are you supporting Asians when you support another black woman? But that's how disrespectful they are. And it's not just them. They're starting to get so bold and blatant about it. When you look at, take Jennifer Lopez, for example. You know, Jennifer Lopez, man, she was a backup dancer for Janet Jackson. The Wayans, the main Wayne, I forget his name, Keenan Ivory Wayans, I think the main Wayans dude put her on with In Living Color. So she was one of the few non-black ones that were there. J-Lo, black people really put J-Lo on. Like, real talk. And I get that she's Latin and she's always gonna represent that. That's fine. But for her to think for her, first of all, for her even to take that is disrespect. She should have had enough respect to even decline that. It ain't like she needs help in her career. And for anybody around her, like them, the Jacksons or whatever, to even co-sign that is disrespect. All of that is disrespect. And that just tells you how dead our music is. And that's on us at the end of the day. And I don't know about Floyd Mayweather being off code, because I do agree with Floyd Mayweather with the Gucci thing. The Gucci thing is stupid. It is a joke. Most black people don't buy Gucci anyway. That's a celebrity thing. So Spike Lee even said, saying that we're going to boycott Gucci. That doesn't mean anything. So Floyd is technically not incorrect by saying that. And as goofy as Floyd is, Floyd at least serves as a good example of how black men at least need to operate with their money. So I give Floyd a little bit more. He ain't said nothing truly stupid yet. But that's your opinion. But I'm glad you're focused on that, because we need to stop calling people coons as much and start realizing some of these people were never for us from the jump. Coons is when they betray you, when they technically are supposed to be on your team and not. A lot of these other groups tell us all the time, I'm not black, I'm not black, I'm not black. And we need to start fucking listening. Remember, Pan-Africanism was created by us in conjunction with a few Caribbeans like Marcus Garvey and others. That's our shit. So motherfuckers didn't want to talk about Pan-Africanism, and now we're talking about being more tribalistic. It's a problem. Think about that. Like, y'all need to think about it. And why am I spending so much time on non-American Black immigrants? Non-American Black immigrants don't have the numbers to really affect like what we're having. Although there are key positions that we always need to ask, like as far as them having it, because they shouldn't be representing us either. But if we deal with the ones that are close to us, then it wouldn't be hard to deal with women like Maria Cabello, your Cardi B's, because Black women elevated Cardi B. Like, it's time for us to stop rail gunning these people and then crying about what they do after the fact. And it's time for them to understand that, because white people will not support them. Absolutely. White people do not support dead weight. They support a lot of these people because a lot of these people have baseline support for Black people. And it's time for us to start checking all of that. And
that's where I kind of, when it comes to Cardi B, I really don't like her. And I think that there's certain things I can respect about her, but to me, I see what they're doing. And Impressive did a video about it, about the lighting up. Impressive did a video about how Matthew Knowles talked about how in the late 90s they basically destroyed, they kind of bled out, or they basically bled R&B music down, and now they're trying to rebuild it in an image of white and light skinned, light bright people, and so and so it's like with this would be great for music. This would be great because a lot of shit, man, just motherfuckers is just stealing so much. And it's like, even our music, our culture, everything. Even with that 21 Savage shit. I was like, I didn't make a video. I made it. It's on my phone. I just ain't finished it. But even with 21 Savage, in my mind, hold your own. Like, this dude came over here and faked like he was one of us. Made millions.
And a lot of,
and I'm not hating on the dude. I'm just saying, he faked like he was one of us, made millions. And the people and now we supposed to cape for him, when that could have been something. We got plenty of Black kids in Atlanta that can rap, that can say something about M's in my bank account. Anybody can say that. This kid basically made millions off us, man. And basically, I'm wondering, is that really him? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm wondering, like, did he just give us a caricature of what he thinks African Americans are? Because if their dad is a doctor, and what makes it even more fucked up, what's his name knew? What's that guy name? The Breakfast Club. They knew this shit when it happened. And then Charlamagne was like, oh, the secret's out. Secret? Like, so y'all knew these guys weren't really even African American, and y'all out here. I ain't got no respect. That's what I'm saying. Like, all this shit need to be changed up, man.
Yeah, LAR Movement said something very powerful. I forget if he said it was on video on our Hangout, but he said that a lot of these females, like Cardi B, they are pretending to be they are playing a role, and you see that even in Nollywood. And just like in any economic situation, there needs to be a correction. This is the correction. And like I said, this ain't even really about non-American Black. It's going to be something that we need to check on that too. But this is about just us. And people going to have a problem with that. And I'm telling y'all, like all of y'all that's listening, or y'all hear these videos, if y'all this is the key thing I want y'all to understand, is there is a political side to this. There's an economic side to this. When you look at music, that is economics. If that money ain't going to you, that money's going to somewhere else. Sports, all of that. Like all of that. And there is no, we got to stop putting our heads in the fucking sand and thinking just because shit ain't in our ass right now, that it ain't like a slow decline. And folks, remember, like the 80s, everything was like light skin. You see how everything just switched back. So it can switch back. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, when people tell you shit's pipe dreams, us being in this situation right now is a pipe dream. If you look at stuff 100, 200 years ago, or 100 years ago, what Black people were able to do when they couldn't read, as far as speeding up, learning how to read, and creating Black Wall Street, which is a multitude of cities, was a pipe dream. So again, man, people are gonna tell you stupid shit because that's you reaching further than what air can reach. Now, if they can't give you like legitimate like talking points, like things that you can measure or things that you can look into, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And people can feel whatever type of way about me they want to feel. At the end of the day, I have no problem hashing this shit out because at the end of the day, I don't talk about shit I don't know. So anyway, with all that being said, it's been a great hangout, man. I got some stuff I got to do. And City of Truth, I'll get you on the next one. I know you've been asking to come on. I'm sorry. I just when I get 4 people, the shit turns into 5 or 6 hours. And another thing, I'm gonna start keeping it shorter because I want to give more people time to talk. So anyway, with that being said, man, I appreciate it. Make sure you share this video. And Ados, man, peace out.
Stay up.
Yeah. Come on, let me end this.